Badlands. Explain those Badlands. That's a hell of a name.
Mr. Vice President, I'm going off script again, I know, but I just want to personally thank you. We've been through some stuff. We've gone through some of the most complex military operations this country's ever conducted, and your steady hand and your leadership during those was a great source of strength for me. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your character. Thank you for your selfless service. Thank you for commitment. Thank you for being a mentor to me, Mr. Vice President.
It's called the swamp. And you know what happened? And you know what I did? A big favor. I caught the swamp. I caught them all. Let's see what happens. Nobody else could have done that but me. I caught all of this corruption that was going on, and nobody else could have done it. Did I get that one right? Every 4 years, we gather on these steps to carry out the orderly and peaceful transfer of power. Today's ceremony, however, has very special meaning, because today we are not merely transferring power from one administration to another, but we are transferring power from Washington, D.C., and giving it back to you, the people. For too long, a small group in our nation's capital has reaped the rewards of government, while the people have borne the cost. Washington flourished, but the people did not share in its wealth. This American carnage stops right here and stops right now. The forgotten men and women of our country will be forgotten no longer. From this day forward, a new vision will govern our land. From this day forward, it's going to be only America first.
This is a president of the United States who is a danger to the republic.
America first.
He knows he's an illegitimate president.
The oath of office I take today is an oath of allegiance to all Americans.
The great Trump recovery.
America will never be a socialist country. I will fight for you with every breath in my body.
Russia, Russian, pro-Russian, Russian, the Russians.
Russia.
And I will never, ever let you down.
A dangerous virus is spreading rapidly in China, and U.S. officials are very worried that it could come here.
This is really the worst attack we've ever had. This is worse than Pearl Harbor. This is worse than the World Trade Center. There's never been an attack like this.
The time for empty talk is over. Now arrives the hour of action. What they're doing is using COVID to steal an election. Together, we will make America strong again. You know what it's about? Fraud, fake ballots. We will make America wealthy again. They are trying to steal the election.
Now, under the leadership of President Trump, we are fully realizing President Kennedy's prescient view of Special Operations Forces.
We will make America proud again. And watch, please, those mail-in ballots. We will make America safe again. And in millions and millions of ballots. Their vote is under what they thought they needed. They're dumping more ballots in there, okay? And yes, together, we will make America great again. Thank you. God bless you. If we are right about the fraud, Joe Biden can't be president.
Congress, the chair declares the joint session dissolved.
All right. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Saturday edition of the Devolution Power Hour. How are my lovely co-hosts doing? Patrick, what a shirt, man.
Thank you so much. I got it at Walmart just for you.
It looks like Barack Obama's about to climb out of your shirt.
I'll be so lucky.
Did you guys see that? It was like a mural or something on I don't know, like some rest stop somewhere, and it had Michelle Obama with a big old dong.
Ah, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Mohap. Yeah, I'm doing great, guys. I'm resting my voice so that I can redeem myself at Deadwood a year from now, and by the time that comes around, it'll be over for all you bitches. But a big shout out to Matt Byram, who can actually sing.
Patrick, I thought you did a lovely job. I feel like this has been overblown.
It has been, but it was funny.
What are you gonna do?
Like the call and stuff was funny last night. Did I actually wake you up on that phone call?
No, you didn't wake me up, but I was in bed.
Okay.
Deep in my heart, this old heart is an even older heart. So I was.
You weren't expecting to be on TV on the internet right then?
I figured out real quick what was going on, and I started with John. I wanted to say, John, I swear to God, I will find you and I will kill you. But then it kind of clicked. It's like, no. He's such a good friend that he's doing this live on the air. All right, let's just go ahead and take our lumps.
At least I gave you the call ahead of time.
Hey.
I could have just went with it.
Yeah, you're true blue, bro.
Yeah. Is this normally how we have it set up? Is Chris, you're normally on the bottom, right?
Yeah, I feel a little weirdo. Yeah, okay, now.
Okay, much better. Much better. Okay, well, we have a pretty fun show, I think, planned for tonight. We're going to talk RFK Jr. and circus animals, and we will get into the immigration chart. Patrick made a really good point, and even though I've been skeptical of the immigration chart hinting at devolution, we're going to discuss it again. This new context, I think, is interesting, at least. I also have something I came across in some recent research that I know is very Q related, and I'm not sure I've seen it talked about this way in the context of devolution. I think it's going to be kind of interesting. And then we're also going to talk about Telegram's CEO. He's in jail now, which is kind of wild. And then we'll see what else we get into. We'll see how it goes.
And everybody, make sure to hit that thumbs up. Let's go ahead and reclaim our position as number one. If we lost it, and if we didn't, then let's keep our position as number one. So hit that thumbs up. Really helps us when you do that. Oh, and John, I forgot to tell you, I got a few videos from a fan of the Devolution Power Hour, a few videos of the Tim Walz, Kamala Harris rally in Milwaukee. And they're in kind of the nosebleed seats, but you could tell it's legit. And so that's kind of cool.
That is kind of cool. Yeah. That is interesting. We still got to get you to one of those things. I know you want to.
That would be fun.
You desperately want to attend.
So what we're noticing is that they're invited. You don't just go to a rally. They have to come approach you. And so United Auto Workers, for example, is giving a free day off of work for anybody who will attend events. So if you do that, you can get a whole bunch of people to show up.
Yeah.
So they don't have to go to work.
Interesting.
So the people are incentivized to be there, and this is not exactly the most natural behavior. It's not people just crawling out of the woodwork to go see Kamala Harris live.
Kamala Harris live. Yeah. Doesn't exactly roll off the tongue.
Is it surprising that they would maybe lie to us about the actual support level that Kamala Harris might have?
Maybe, but I'm actually really impressed that they were able to fill an arena, because they did.
The DNC thing, though, did you see the Beyonce? Like, they literally lied saying Beyonce was going to be there just so that people would stick around for her speech.
They even hinted that Taylor Swift might be going.
Taylor
Swift
was crazy. By the way, Taylor Swift is a bloke. I'm pretty sure now.
Like a dude?
Yeah.
Interesting. I haven't heard that one, but I feel like most Democrat women are blokes at this point.
Yeah. Well, somebody has to wear the pants in their community.
Did they have any Transformers speaking during the DNC except for Michelle?
Transformers.
Nice.
Like not openly
Transformers.
All right.
Although I don't think even Michelle is open, but she does have a redwood between her legs.
And her husband's gay.
Yeah.
Well,
As
by default, yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it seems like it fits.
I'm gonna start can we start calling trans people just Optimus Prime now? I love that. Transformers.
It's pretty good.
That might be a little too good.
That has legs.
They have 3 legs.
They do.
Okay, let's get to our sponsors real quick, and then we'll get into the content. So, Patrick, are you ready?
I'm all queued up.
I think I got them in here. Yep, let's do EasyRx first.
All right, absolutely. Tonight's show is brought to you by our partners at EasyRx. Did you know that EasyRx has been committed to supplying high-quality medicines since 2011? For more than 13 years, EasyRx has focused on your health by supplying much-needed medications like ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, fenbendazole, and so many more. With the C19 election variant and Mpox narrative in full swing, now is the perfect time to stock up on essentials for you and your family. The ordering process is simple. The shipping is fast. And the prices, they're unbeatable. Rest assured that you and your loved ones are ready for anything by visiting badlandsmedia.tv/EasyRx. Don't forget to use promo code Badlands for a 10% discount on purchases of $150 or more. Visit badlandsmedia.tv/EasyRx and use promo code Badlands for great savings.
Chris, are you hearing Patrick all right?
I heard him just fine, yeah.
Okay, some people in the audience are having they're having a hard time hearing him. I don't know. Just kidding. Okay, let's do our next sponsor real quick. Love litters.
Attention, all you Badlanders with purring pals and feathered friends. Say hello to Love Litters, 100% pure kiln-dried wood, free from chemicals and oh so kind to Mother Earth. No dust, no mess, no toxins, just a lightweight solution that's gentle on your wallet and even gentler in your home. Our biodegradable litter is crafted from wood, destined for landfills, giving it a new purpose in your pet's life. Cats love it. Our astonishing formula works like magic to neutralize that notorious cat urine odor, keeping your home pine fresh and welcoming. For bird lovers, it zaps moisture from bird droppings, crumbling them away, all while being safe if pecked at or ingested. For reptiles and critters, too, our mix is crafted to dilute the pine scent, ensuring those little lungs stay happy and healthy. Plus, every 30-pound bag of Love Litters will last up to 6 months, saving you money. Transform your pet care routine today. Visit badlandsmedia.tv/litter. That's badlandsmedia.tv/litter. And breathe easy with a litter that loves your pet as much as you do.
Awesome. Those are some cute kittens.
Can I just make sure that everybody knows what I was referring to with the Obama thing? I wonder if he's going to just crawl out of Patrick's pocket or something.
Yes.
Now
I get it.
That's the one where she's got the big old schlong there.
What? They added that, right?
No, I think that's there, man. No. Yeah, it was added. I'm fairly
Michael
sure.
underwent vaginoplasty surgery. I did not know that was a word. Now I know it.
What is the word supposed to be?
I'd never heard that word before. Vaginoplasty.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm from Los Angeles, so I have heard of that before.
My God.
Learn
I heard
something new every day.
I heard Obama gave a shit speech at the Democratic National Convention. Is that true? It just wasn't very good.
I didn't watch his speech. I watched some speeches. I watched Kamala's speech. But on that note, let's talk RFK, because I thought it was brilliant the timing of RFK doing his little thing. So on the heels of the DNC, after they fabricated all the support, she comes out, lies through her teeth about all of, Trump policies or whatever. And a lot of our country is very bad right now, as if Trump was in office, right? You listening to Kamala's speech, you would think she was not the incumbent party in office, which was fascinating. They're going to fix all these problems that are wrong with this country. She's got it nailed down. She knows exactly what to do. She just can't do it right now. She has to wait till she's president somehow. Mm-hmm. But then on the heels of that, very next day, we have RFK Jr. come out, gives this based as hell speech, talks about how he was shafted and how the plan here is brilliant. He's supporting Trump. He's clearly going to be in Trump's next administration, but he's not fully dropping out of the race. He's taking himself off the swing state ballots, but he's staying on pretty much everywhere else, I believe. And so, I mean, it's brilliant. It's a brilliant plan. And we're going to get into some of the clips from his speech, but I want to get your guys' first thoughts on the situation.
I think it was pretty clear when he came out as a 40-week abortion supporter that he was there to help Trump. No conservative will ever cross over to a baby killer who goes to 40 weeks. And he did in an interview. It was really weird. You'd have to be out of your mind to say something that stupid. So I think it was deliberate. And so I called it then. This guy is fully on board with Trump. He's on board with Trump now, and he's going to help Trump down the road. So that's kind of where we are right now. This Nicole Shanahan character is interesting to me because of her connection to Silicon Valley.
Is that his VP?
That's his VP. Yeah. And she's super young. I think she's like 34 or some crap.
Man, thanks, man. I'm 34.
Yeah, that is very young, especially to run for vice president. And that interests me as well, because I think of Silicon Valley as being purely wicked. So it's nice to see some people from that area doing some good in the world. And she seems like a perfectly nice person.
There was an interesting clip I saw, and maybe it wasn't from recent, but it was posted Friday. Because originally it was like, oh, RFK is definitely going to come out and support Trump and whatever, endorse him. But then I saw this clip, and the clip was like, we just cannot get behind Trump unless he comes out and says how wrong he was with Operation Warp Speed. I was like, well, here we go again. Is this announcement the hiring of Tracy Beans or something? Because that is something she would say. And it's just the stupidest take of all time. But then it turns out that wasn't what happened. So I don't know when that clip was.
There was a really cool, virtual town hall, March 24th, 2020, where they interviewed Trump about, 15 days to slow the spread. It was the place where he said, I think we ought to have this wrapped up by Easter. And one of the themes that Trump kept coming back to was, we never shut down for something like this. We've had people, tens of thousands of people die from the flu every year. We never shut down because of it. This is unheard of, but I have to do it. The people insist, or they insisted. And Trump is talking about it over and over again, as if he's got to figure out a way to break the spell to get people to leave their homes again, because that's what happened. The television cast a spell on the people to make them think that going outside was going to kill them. And that's a remarkable spell to cast. And so the whole concept of Operation Warp Speed was a counter spell. So when people don't understand that Operation Warp Speed was designed to break the spell of COVID in people's minds, they're just not in the same conversation we're in anymore.
Yeah.
And we don't know actually in reality how toxic those vaccines were. And I'm anti-vax all the way. But all data is unreliable at this point. It's an info war, and we're little minnows, in this world where the whales are splashing above us and trying to kill each other. And it's a data war. So when we're given, for example, the VAERS database, the self-reported I died from a vaccine database, that's a weapon in the info war as well. We can't rely on it. But what we can rely on is that it is for certain that the enemy wanted to find a way to bludgeon Donald Trump to death with Operation Warp Speed.
Yeah. Chris, what are your thoughts on the RFK thing?
Well, yeah, I mean, they were trying to bludgeon him to death with the COVID thing, and then it basically flipped. The roles reversed. They were talking about how they would never even take a vaccine developed under Donald Trump, and then all of a sudden they are mandating that same vaccine and saying that Donald Trump made it bad. So we've gone through a couple of years of that, and no one can kind of refute that case better than Robert F. Kennedy Jr. can. So I think it's a major asset in that way. Not that I ever blamed him for it in the first place. Donald Trump, as you were saying, Patrick, gave everyone everything they ever needed to know to abstain from complying in any regard to the COVID stuff. I love the RFK thing. I think it's great. I've been talking about this for 18 months for these exact reasons. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was going to enter the fake Democrat primary and prove to the Democrat Party that vaccines are a bad idea, that the elections are fake, and that the deep state actually is our biggest problem. And he's attracted a big chunk of that party. I don't care what the polls say. What the race will now be is two guys who are anti-establishment and committed to taking down the deep state against the deep state. The Uniparty is showing itself. They had Adam Kinzinger up there like 3 speeches before Kamala went on. It was like Kinzinger and then Kamala's sister and then Roy Cooper for some reason and then Kamala Harris. The whole thing was so embarrassing. That DNC was terrible. They try to make it look like everybody there is having a good time. Most of what makes that crowd look lively are the signs they're holding up and all the flags that are waving, because it takes up so much more visual space than just person sitting next to person. And they've always done that. They try to sell the image of being extremely popular, extremely hip, extremely fun, so that everybody wants to participate in their brand with them. But that brand is tarred beyond repair. I mean, the Democrat Party brand is one of the worst brands in the country right now.
Yeah.
It's like worse than Bud Light.
It's on par with Bud Light for
it's
sure.
approaching Pfizer.
Yeah, for real. I mean, it's basically the same thing as Pfizer at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is here is like at the end of the day, this is coming down to the election on November 5th. And with RFK Jr. joining sides with Trump, like that just took, that makes it so much harder. That makes it like 10 times harder for them to be able to steal this election, but they're going to have to do it anyway if they hold it at all. Like they either don't hold the election or they hold the election and blatantly steal it to the tune of 50 million votes or something just idiotic, insane. And they can't get away with this time. And we don't need to get into that discussion. We've done it a million times. So we're going to do it a million more times before the election actually happens. But yeah, this RFK thing, he said some amazing things. And one of the things I loved was this one.
You didn't alone cause the devolution of American democracy, but you could have prevented it. The Democratic Party's censorship of social media was even more of a naked exercise of executive power.
Now, so he says the devolution of America, you didn't cause the devolution of American democracy. I know there's different definitions of devolution, guys. I know there's different context, but this word being used much more often by much more like prominent people. Like I'm waiting for Trump to, instead of saying we are a country in decline, to start saying like America's in devolution, or like, you know what I mean? Like the devolution of America. It's brilliant. Things have been like heating up lately. I feel like things have been escalated to another level. And now Kennedy comes out and says that. And a lot of people were talking about it, it seems. It's just, I love the way he used it. It's brilliant.
The lead up to that statement is not in that clip, but it's pretty interesting because he's clearly talking to the media and excoriates them for becoming the mouthpieces of global power rather than their upholding their kind of sacred duty to hold power to account. I mean, he's right in his condemnation of them. But it's really interesting the role they played, to think about the fact that had the media reported virtually any of what we were actually seeing as true, in a truthful manner, I should say, then none of this would have been necessary. And that's the thing that still makes me so, that still bothers me so much about the mainstream media approach, including from the so-called right, because it's like people have not been given the opportunity to, I mean, I guess you could make the argument that they have been given the opportunity because we certainly found it somewhere.
Yeah.
But I wonder what things would be like if they had all just come out and told the truth the whole time.
Well, I love that you said that. And I'm going to play the clip in full context here in a second. But I just, based on what you said, I want to remind people, one of the reasons that I believe Trump had to walk away was because to avoid the civil war, right? But the reason we were in that position is because of the media, the people he called the enemy, like the enemy of the people, like the mainstream media, and all the moves that he made with irregular warfare to set up some sort of like irregular warfare, 5th generation warfare. That's a war for the mind. I mean, the whole Q operation, I believe, was established to bypass the mainstream media because they're full of shit. We wouldn't have gone through any of that stuff if the media was honest. And so it makes it that much more interesting when the way he's saying this in the context of the media, them causing the devolution of America. The reason Trump had to implement devolution in a lot of ways was because of what the media was doing on behalf of the deep state and the intel agencies. But here's the full context, or at least 36 seconds of context.
Moment to ask you to consider the many ways that your institutions have abdicated this really sacred responsibility, duty of a free press to safeguard democracy and to challenge always the party in power. Instead of maintaining that posture of fear, skepticism toward authority, your institutions have made themselves government mouthpieces and stenographers for the organs of power. You didn't alone cause the devolution of American democracy.
So there you go. There's the context of it.
Oof. He is rough to listen to.
I had this thought yesterday. I wrote a piece 2 or 3 years ago about how it's difficult to listen to Donald Trump and it's difficult to listen to Mike Lindell if you are kind of educated in a certain way. Sorry. You're very used to the way academics speak, the way the people on the television speak. It's all very polished, sounds very smooth. And then you get these gruff speakers who sound like they're yelling sometimes, like Lindell, or Trump, who's got an odd cadence and is, kind of gruff in his manner sometimes. It just strikes me as odd that we have another person who is difficult to listen to. But the thing is, once you do that and you can actually start hearing the person, there's something about it that makes you pay more attention or something. Maybe it adds authenticity. I don't know. It's just weird that we have these characters now who have these strange voices who are still able to really command a high degree of attention.
He's got spasmodic dysphonia, by the way. And I think that there is a surgery solution to his vocal cord problem.
Yeah. You make a good point. Like because of the way he talks, you have to focus much more to get the message he's saying. His message is great. Like think of Burning Bright, for instance. Like it's very dull, very boring, like easy to just not pay attention to what he's saying. Versus something like RFK, yeah, you have to pay attention. But let's play the clip of him coming out on stage, and it sounds like Trump kind of blew his load here a little bit. He was trying to continue talking, but the cue was obviously like Robert F. Kennedy's name. And so he says his name and he was going to keep saying more about him, but then they went nuts with the fire show and everything. And so he didn't get to finish his intro, but it was pretty badass. The crowd went nuts.
For the past 16 months, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. For the past 16 months.
What a strange visual to describe our politics in 2024.
It really gave me a real WWE feel. It was really cool. I dig that feel, and using the Foo Fighters. That was the Foo Fighters, right? That sounded like Dave Grohl. Perfect song too. Really on the nose a little bit because he is kind of heroic for what he's doing.
Well, we figured out last night, or somebody said last night, like a couple things. One, that song was used as like the initial COVID promo video they did for all the frontline workers. Number two, the Foo Fighters were one of the ones who were mandating people get vaccines to come into their concerts, and their drummer has died from the vaccine. I'm pretty sure. I mean, maybe the vaccine, whatever. So that's interesting.
And they got mad at the song being used last night. And I watched a video that was really interesting this morning. Just some woman who had read a recent book by, I can't remember who the woman was, but it was about JFK Jr.'s life. And there was in the opening quote, I can't think of the word. Patrick will know the word. Is "There Goes My Hero, He's Ordinary," which is a lyric from that song.
What's the word you're looking for, though?
That, you know, that the part of the book before the book begins where they do the little thank yous.
Oh, the acknowledgments.
But then they have a quote right after that, and that has its own special.
I don't know.
Its own special term.
For dedication.
No,
that's
somebody in the chat's gonna get it.
It's some weird thing that'll hit me, but I don't remember it either.
Somebody's gonna get it.
Somebody's gonna get
forward.
It. This
no.
The foreword. By the way, that's the foreword.
Preface?
FOREWORD. No,
Preface,
it's not going to
prologue.
be any one of those easy words. It's going to be something weird.
Okay. Man, I had another. Oh, also, what do you guys think about getting the fire show like they had there at Gart's? I think that should be the new standard.
Yeah,
I'm 100% down with that.
Let's spend all of our yearly salaries on production for the next Gart.
I love that.
Particularly put it all into pyrotechnics.
Yeah, man. Totally down. Totally down. We're by the ocean. We're on a beach. So
tell me, what is so great about Myrtle Beach that it sells out in 5 seconds?
Well, it hasn't fully sold out in 5 seconds, but we're close. We've sold like
sold
I
out.
think like 2/3 or 3/4 of the tickets that we sold for Deadwood already, which is nuts. But it's on a beach. I think that's a big part of it. I believe anyway. I mean, Myrtle Beach. I've never been there, but I'm assuming it's on a beach.
By the way, I have the word. It is epigraph.
Epigraph.
I wasn't going to get that.
I wasn't going to get that either.
Epigraph would come after, wouldn't it?
Hold on. Somebody sent me a video.
Epi.
Let me play this quick.
Minerals.
Genius.
Hold on a second. I got to play a video I was sent here. Once I get it loaded up. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up, everybody.
Hit that thumbs up while we engage in behind the scenes production activity. Thumbs up if you like it.
Bernie Bright says, if Patrick just allowed Mrs. Bright to book his room instead of being a princess, he wouldn't have these issues of the venue being sold out.
You know, a princess got a princess.
Okay. I believe this is, okay, check this out.
Bernie Bright's a dick. He's in there saying dead air. All right, hang on a sec. All right.
Okay, this is something with the JFK, I think, Foo Fighter hero thing.
There's been a lot happening. And so last week I went to the launch party for this book, JFK Jr, an intimate oral biography by Rose Marie Terenzio and Liz McNeil. Rose Marie was JFK Jr.'s executive assistant at George back in the 90s. She also wrote this book, Fairy Tale Interrupted, a memoir of love, life, love, and loss. Besides this book launch, it was also the 29th anniversary of the launch of the original George magazine. So it's kind of one big event. There was a Q&A between Paul Begala, Liz McNeil, and Rose Marie Terenzio. During that Q&A, Rose Marie talked about Bobby a lot because he was still in the race for president during this event. She was talking about funny stories between John and Bobby and how Bobby was kind of upset or just joking that JFK Jr. was the sexiest man alive in 1988, and just the way that they poked fun at each other. So it's kind of an interesting and fun event. Well, what happens today? Bobby Kennedy drops out of the race, endorses Trump. What song did Bobby Kennedy walk out to at the Trump rally today? Does anybody know? Maybe this book will give us an answer. So here is what it says. This is what she wrote to me. She signed my book for me. This is kind of cool. She writes to, you know, who the book is for. But look at this. What does that say? There goes my hero. He's ordinary. Very interesting coincidence.
I believe that's what you're talking about, Chris.
It is indeed.
That is killer. All right. So the book and the reference, though. So this is a reference to the lyric from the Foo Fighters. And why is it being used as the epigraph?
I don't know.
I don't either. But it's definitely an interesting coincidence.
There's a TikTok video about it. Weren't you paying attention? I'm just kidding. I don't fully understand the coincidence there either, but
thank God.
Whatever.
Maybe
Anyway.
it's a dedication to JFK Jr., I think is the implication.
Gotcha. Okay, but let's talk about this. Oh, that's the wrong one. Hold on. Gotta find RFK. Here we go. Because this was so funny. And Chris, you closed out your podcast with this, talking about this, and it's so good. For a little bit during RFK's speech, he was talking about obesity and whatnot, and he said probably one of the funniest things, and I think overlooked. Like, not many people noticed he said. I didn't even notice he said this, and I listened to the whole thing until Chris did it on his podcast. But check this out, guys.
In America, 74% of Americans are now overweight or obese, and 50% of our children. 120 years ago, when somebody was obese, they were sent to the circus. There were case reports done about them. Obesity was almost unknown.
I mean, it's funny, but he's got a great point. Like,
yeah,
if you look at old pictures and videos and stuff of people at the beach, like, everybody was in shape, everybody, and they've clearly poisoned the food, and that's kind of been his thing now, and that's what him and Trump are going to do in the next administration. Is RFK? It sounds like he's going to be in charge of some health agency or something, or declassification. That could be an interesting position. I think Kyle even mentioned put him in charge of the public interest declassification board and declassify everything. But health is a big thing to him, and so it was pretty fucking funny.
It was funny. And now whenever we talk about going to the circus, I think we can just be referring to, for example, as Chris said on his podcast, JB Pritzker.
Yeah. Send JB Pritzker to the circus.
But not Chris Christie.
No, it would be extremely rude to say that Chris Christie should be sent to the circus. It would also be extremely rude to call Chris Christie a fat pig.
I would never call him a fat pig either.
Yeah, no one should ever do that.
It's wrong.
Yeah.
I wonder if people understand what you're doing right here.
No, nobody can do it as well as Donald Trump. But
the video Green Star did, where he quoted or did the video of you reading that was pretty good.
That was really great.
That was pretty good too. But yeah. Anyway, anything else on RFK?
I think it was probably pretty notable that at a Trump rally with RFK standing next to him, he's saying, and we're going to have a special counsel on presidential assassinations. And by the way, we're going to release everything on JFK.
Yeah, you're going to pull that up, John? That is a great clip.
Yeah, let me get that here.
He talks about putting a commission together, and you have to wonder what that commission would be. I said on my podcast, however long ago, I think that they're going to release those files the same way that they did with the Twitter files. I assume it'll be a controlled info op or a limited hangout of some variety. But maybe not. Maybe they just dump them out like WikiLeaks and let everyone go through them. That would be cool.
Yeah, here we go.
And this is a tribute in honor of Bobby. I am announcing tonight that upon my election, I will establish a new independent presidential commission on assassination attempts. And they will be tasked with releasing all of the remaining documents pertaining to the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. And they will also conduct a rigorous review of the attack last month. But I tell you, I have never had more people ask me, please, sir, release the documents on the Kennedy assassination.
Okay. The quality of that video that Shadow of Ezra shared. Maybe he is the real Ezra and he's doing that from a skiff or something, because holy shit. But the one thing that's weird to me about this is you don't need a separate commission on any of this stuff to declassify. Trump can just declassify all the shit whenever he wants and get it released. You don't need a commission on it. And
he already has declassified pretty much all of it, hasn't he?
Pretty much, but he could just declassify all of it himself and be like, anything related to any of these assassinations, whatever, declassified. And as long as he has the right people in the intel agencies, those things should be released fully. Maybe that's what the commission be for, to make sure it gets released. I don't know.
Right, because that's the thing. I think a lot of the time we conflate the ideas of declassification and the release of those declassified documents, and they're not exactly the same thing. I wonder how much of that stuff is already available to Donald Trump, having already declassified it, and
well, Trump already knows it all. That's the thing.
Well, yeah,
He's
of
president,
course.
he has access
And
to it all.
Just fun fact: the Zapruder film was not released until 1975. For anybody who did not know that.
Okay, what's the Zapruder film?
You know that video you watch where John F. Kennedy gets shot in the head?
Oh yeah, that one. The Zapruder
That was
film?
not released until 1975, and apparently Abraham Zapruder had a camcorder in 1963. But it wasn't released until 1975. I said to ChatGPT, I said, I don't want your opinion. I just need only the answer. Repeat, do not give me your fucking opinion. I'm asking you, what year was the Zapruder film released? And it simply said, it was like so relieved when I heard him say 1975, period. I said, can you see? And I need you to explain to me what their excuse was for that. And don't give me your opinion. And it said, due to the sensitivity of the material and the reaction it might cause. And then I responded, and finally, can you see why I might be suspicious of that film? And then it simply responded, yes.
I feel like you talk to ChatGPT more than you talk to your real life friends now, Patrick.
Yeah. I mean, no, I have a totally cool social life.
With ChatGPT.
Yeah, pretty much. It's so addictive, guys.
It is. I've gotten into a few back and forths with that thing.
One of the coolest things about that scene there is, I was thinking about this last night, just the fact that it's been 60 years. And it's like these two guys are saying, okay, we are going to solve the greatest mystery in American history. That rhymed. There's like a few little puzzle pieces left to put in to that picture. And then all of a sudden the whole thing comes together for people who have been obsessed with this story for 60 years and people who weren't even alive who have become obsessed with this story over the course of their lifetime. And now that could be coming out. It's his nephew and Donald Trump saying in front of a stadium of people that they're going to do it. I feel like we're probably within a year from that happening. That's enormous. And there's one other RFK thing I want to talk about before we go. But
okay, on that point, quick, what's interesting to me about that point is like Trump was in office for 4 years and he had every opportunity to make sure that information got out, but he didn't do it. You know what I mean? So like, how could you leave office via a stolen election and then use an election? Like you have to rely on election to get back into office. Again, that's the story we're being told, right? He left office because it was, the election was legitimate. He's going to rely on that same election system to get back in. And knowing all that, like that's the narrative we're being told. Risky, to say the least. Why would he not release that stuff prior to leaving office to make sure it gets out? Because it's not guaranteed he would have got back in based on the surface level narrative, right? But he saved it for like it does seem too good to be true in a lot of ways.
Seems like something the television must have said has to be wrong.
Maybe.
Could be.
Maybe. To TBD. But what else did you want to say about that?
Oh, just how cool it was in his speech that he actually said specifically Donald Trump called him. He wanted to talk about potentially a unity party. He wanted to talk about Abraham Lincoln's team of rivals. He wanted a situation where they could disagree in public and let the American people reach their own conclusions. And I've been talking a lot about this lately. Donald Trump presents himself as a servant of the people and as tribune of the people. And I think he is most effective that way. If he is faithfully and honestly representing himself that way, which we all believe he is, this could really be a sea change in American politics, culture, society, government, etc. the idea that we're going to have these debates out in the open now, instead of one party has X opinion and their controlled opposition in the other party has Y opinion, and then we just talk about those things forever. That's how we got here. So the idea of this sort of divide, I mean, I guess you can kind of, in a sense, call it divided government, but I don't know, adversarial government. I don't know what the right word for it is, but gosh, man, that's got to be so much better.
Oh yeah, I can't remember who it was, but there's a story of like back in the day, somebody in government went and took like a shovel to one of the people across the aisle, like hit him across the back of the head and fucking killed him just because he was so mad about their argument they had on the floor of the House.
Wow.
Like that's the shit we need back in office again.
I was
Minus
just
the
about to say
murder.
that.
Like I'm not advocating murder for anybody who might arrest me, but
I guess
just a little preview of
just enough violence to keep everything in line.
We were told a month ago that phone call you were just talking about was leaked. It was leaked. Yeah. And if you remember, and if you paid attention, which I drew attention to this, I said at the beginning of if you pay attention, I would love you to do so. Probably talking about dropping out now in hindsight. And I think it would be so good for you and so big for you. And we're gonna win. We're gonna win. We're way ahead of the guy. This is at the time talking about Biden, but this is clearly a phone call after the assassination attempt talking about them forming that unity ticket. Take a listen. Or wait, what, Chris?
Before you play that, this came out on the same day that Trump announced on Truth Social that JD Vance was going to be the running mate during this fake election. And that was 2 days after the assassination event.
Yeah, so the assassination event happened. This phone call took place the next day, I believe, and then JD Vance was the day after that, right?
So Saturday, and I think that this and JD were both Monday, but maybe the date of the call was Sunday.
I don't remember which, but I know that this call happened, and then shortly after, Trump and RFK Jr. met in person, allegedly. I think one of the two mentioned that. I think it was RFK who mentioned in his speech that they met in person right after the call. Because Benny Johnson, I remember this vividly. Benny Johnson's like, inside sources telling me Trump is meeting with RFK to be his VP. I was like, well, that's clearly not going to happen because Benny Johnson's inside sources are telling us that. But anyway, listen to the call.
I would love you to do so. And I think it would be so good for you and so big for you. And we're going to win. We're going to win. You know, we're way ahead of the guy. And, you know, it's interesting. It was very nice.
Yeah, I mean, that's the part that everybody skipped past that, glossed over that, and paid attention to the vaccine stuff that came later. But they clearly told us that they were like, we're going to win. Why would Trump say that to an opponent? You know what I mean? Unless they're going to form a unity ticket.
Yeah.
Well, this was leaked, and Donald Trump wanted it leaked. Not sure the purpose, though.
Yeah, anyway, it was leaked from RFK's camp.
I know, but Trump was part of that op. It was not a, oh, let's get him. Nothing like that ever happens. I don't believe in that.
For sure. All right, let's get to that immigration chart, Patrick, and you got the lead on this one because
if you have the chart, because I don't have the chart. That's the only thing I don't have. I got everything else.
Let's prep for a discussion on the chart, but I don't have the chart.
I'm not a show prep guy.
I
okay,
gotcha.
So we've got this chart here, right?
Yeah,
this
Scott,
is the chart.
Beer at the Parade tagged me in this a little while ago.
Yeah, Scott Zimmerman, Beer at the Parade, Scott Z Patriot on Twitter. Big hat tip there. Also, I'd like to hat tip Laura Kaiser, who kind of got me on this thinking in the first place. But Donald Trump literally refers to this red arrow as Trump leaves office. Is there any way to interpret that differently? Because I want to make sure that we get that established first. That's right. It's like the fourth month of 2020. That's
So
April of 2020. Trump leaves office. And Donald Trump keeps referring to it too.
Yes. Trump is referring to this often as the chart that saved him his life. We've talked about this on, I think, this show briefly, and I believe the Wednesday Power Hour as well, because a lot of people were taking this like, hey, man, why is Trump drawing attention to this? Got the arrow, it's pointed there. My hesitation with like jumping on board with this was because like I don't know who made the chart. I don't know, like this could just be technically like some sort of typo. Like Trump leaves office is bigger than the text of the lowest illegal immigration. Maybe maybe the smaller text is associated with the arrow and the bigger text is just supposed to be with 2021. I don't know, man. Like, I try to limit my confirmation bias as much as possible and like be as like skeptical, especially when it comes to something like this. It's like, I'm going to be as skeptical as I can about this. And because it seems too obvious. It seems too obvious for him to be like, hey guys, here it is. I left office in 2020. It just seems too good to be true. It's hard for me to get into it. But then what you were about to say about the Easter stuff is interesting.
I got a bunch of things to say. So
let's hear it.
During the year 2020, which I remember more vividly than I remember anything, it was the most it's a formative year for, I think, all of us in big ways, but especially those of us who were already quote unquote awake. I was deep into the Q drops since basically the beginning. So when Q first started posting in November, well, October, but then into November of 2017, I wasn't into it yet, but I was basically getting alerted to every new Q drop by early 2018. And at this point, I'm living at home with my mother, right? And my mother has no idea what's going on. It is this traumatizing thing that's happening. And so I kind of quietly introduce her to the Q drops. And one of my first reactions to the COVID pandemic was, this may be a literal white hat op. I didn't know, but I thought, let's see where this is going. And so the first thing I noticed in the Q drops, which were taking place in real time, was the phrase, "the silent war continues." So if you go into the Q drops, and I'll just pull up these, just search, I'm just do a search for the phrase silent war, right? So the phrase silent war is used frequently in the Q drops, I think 16 times, 16 posts containing the expression silent war. But then once 2020 comes around, that is when Q drop number 3825 of February 5th, 2020. And at the end of this, strangely enough, praying medic gets queued. What happens when the mass population witnesses no political spin, fake news cannot censor State of the Union address, the anti-American actions of the left firsthand, the silent war continues. And this is why it's significant to me, because it's got 5 dots after it. Then Q drop number 3837, February 6th, 2020. Again, 5 dots after it. Q drop number 3843, 4 dots after it. This is February 8th, 2020. Then the next one, 3856 of February 12th, 3 dots after it. This one about in February 25th, 2020. This is about CEO Bob Iger stepping down. Then it's 2 dots after it. Then 2 dots.
Go back up to, go scroll up 1 Q right there. Stop. What does it say? Non-standard definition.
Non-standard definition of evergreen. So the actual context here, I wasn't going over those. I was just trying to highlight the fact that Q was engaging in a countdown.
Mm-hmm. All right, keep going.
Yeah, but yeah, evergreen, Evergrande, lots of different things. Okay, so, and eventually it gets down to 2 dots. And then April 8th comes around, 2 dots. Then April 10th, which is a funny little date because that is Good Friday. It also encodes the letters DJT. 4 April, 10 J is the 10th letter of the alphabet, and 20 is T, the 20th letter of the alphabet. It pulls up a Technofog quote and all that, and it ends with the silent war continues with 2 dots. All right, so the next thing I wanted to highlight, so there's a countdown going on in Q. I think that it's pretty clear that that's happening. And I said at the time, in real time, trying to show it to my mother, Mom, I think we're counting down towards something. And she thought, well, I hope it's something good we're counting down towards. Anyway, by the way, a little spoiler alert. To this day, she makes fun of me for this fucking countdown because nothing happened.
How does she make fun of you? Like, what does she say?
She says, "Oh, is there going to be 1 less dot, Patrick?" Anyway, so anyway, we've got one more here. So where is it? Silent war continues. Bam! April 28th, 2020, 1 dot, and that's the last time they do it, and it's in all caps. April 28th. All right.
April
What-
28th.
Yeah. Now I'm going to bring up a video from March 24th, 2020. This was a virtual town hall on Fox News. And Trump says something which at the time to these people, it's the 9-year-old they hired as this Surgeon General. It's Deborah Birx. It's and Mike Pence. But Donald Trump's going to answer a question from Bill Hemmer here. And this is March 24th, 2020.
You gonna play it?
Hold
Patrick?
for processing.
Patrick,
Looks like he's meditating.
What?
you gonna play it?
I'm not playing. Oh, I keep forgetting. It doesn't automatically present in this thing. Sorry, 1 second. All right, here we go.
Kill the virus and give a lot of people hope about getting back to their regular lives.
True.
You said something 20 minutes ago that I'm sure a lot of people were pretty keen on. You said that we would, I'm paraphrasing now, you would like to be back to normal by Easter Sunday.
Yes.
That's 19 days from now.
It's okay.
Is that true? Is that possible? Or is
I
that
think
false
it's
hope?
possible. Why isn't it? I mean, we've never closed the country before, and we've had some pretty bad flus, and we've had some pretty bad viruses, and I think it's absolutely possible. Now, people are going to have to practice all of the social distancing and don't shake hands and wash your hands.
All right, that's the basic gist of that. We don't need to watch him say the stuff we've already heard him say a bunch of times. But he's said it more than once during this interview. He actually said it during another coronavirus task force press conference as well, that he just saw Easter as a good date to just get back to normal, et cetera, et cetera. So that, with the countdown leading into April on cue, and that damn arrow pointing at April 2020. And then finally, the Stafford Act, which is basically the states invoking complete disaster and saying we need the feds to help us. The 50th state to invoke the Stafford Act took place on April 4th. So I think there is a case to be made that the encoding of DJT on Good Friday, April 10th, 2020, it coinciding so closely with this Q countdown that was taking place, the invocation of the Stafford Act by the final state right before that took place, and this chart that points at April 2020 makes a case that maybe the government got turned over to the military right around April 10th, 2020. That's what I got. I'm done now.
That's interesting. I mean, the chart, definitely interesting, especially because it's so like vague. You know what I mean? Like this thing, I mean, they could have done I hate charts like this where there's like 18 different like labels pointing to 18 different things and different colors and different, like it's confusing as hell. Like nobody's gonna be able to look at this chart and be like, oh yeah, I understand everything they're trying to say here. Like you have to study this thing multiple times. Then you have to go back and verify stuff. Like it's impossible to know if any of this is even accurate. Like I can make a chart that says like the gayness of Patrick's shirt that he wears based on power hour. And like you would believe me based on a chart if it looks like this, right?
Oh, they'd believe you. See, here's the thing though. You got this Trump clampdown begins. Same type of red arrow. Same font as Trump leaves office. It's very clear that Trump leaves office is referring to this red arrow. There's no way to misinterpret that it's pointing to April of 2020.
But why is it a different size than like Trump leaves office? Why is that a different size than the lowest illegal immigration in record? Because you could get that confused with maybe they're different labels for different things.
I don't think that the differing size of font makes it less easy to understand the date it's pointing to.
That's the thing. It's so confusing.
It's a terrible chart.
And I don't even think that's the accurate. I know I think I sent this to Burning Bright for a defected one time. There's a debunk on this article at one point.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, here it is.
Debunk.
Yeah, no, maybe we talked about it on this show too. Remember the fact checking the immigration chart?
I mean, Trump leaves office. That's easy to fact check.
Right here. If you look at the arrow at the bottom, that's the low. Or here, you read it, Patrick.
If you look at the arrow at the bottom, that's the lowest level. The one on the bottom, heavy red arrow. That's the lowest level of illegal immigrants ever to come into our country in recorded history. Right there, right there. And that was my last week in office, Mr. Trump. This is false. Mr. Trump was referring to a thick red arrow on the chart titled illegal immigration into the U.S. that points to a significant drop in migrant crossings at the southern border during his presidency. But despite text on the chart, Mr. Trump's description at the convention, the arrow is actually pointing to a dip in early 2020 when migration slowed globally during the coronavirus pandemic and the restrictions that followed, not during his last week in office. And that low did not last.
Okay.
So you got your special boy pointing out the obvious.
So I didn't know he actually said this part about the arrow and being the last week in office. Maybe if anything, that's a hint that like, because clearly he was there, he's still doing shit. Like he didn't implement Executive Order 13961 until December 7th, which I think is like one of the most important ones.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe the emergency that took place, the COVID emergency, which is when he said I was a wartime president, maybe that was like the authority he used to implement devolution later on. Maybe.
What if he used a presidential emergency action document that made it so that they could do kabuki theater with executive orders after the final state invoked the Stafford Act?
Could be, man.
I mean, that's just speculation. But I don't think Donald Trump just lazily says, yeah, I left office 10 months earlier than I actually did.
But also we do know that Trump says shit publicly. And Chris, you could chime in at any point. I mean, or you can sit there silently for the rest of the show.
I'm still thinking about it, man. I mean, go ahead. Finish what you're going to say.
We know Trump says shit publicly to get media to fact check him, especially when the fact checks also benefit him, which happens later in this. He says, where's it at? Mr. Trump's, there's something in here. And contrary to Mr. Trump's claim, even the low in 2020 was not the lowest in recorded history. What a liar. Earlier in Mr. Trump's presidency, the number of apprehensions at the border had dipped to about 11,000 in April 2017. Yeah. So they corrected to say that he had the lowest point even earlier in his presidency.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like he does that shit on purpose.
Oh, of course. What you do is you tell a lie so that the correction of the lie reveals that the truth is actually really close to what the lie was, and you got your own enemies to point it out.
Yeah. But like one more thing I want to say on this, and then Chris, you can take it. Like, I'm skeptical to a fault with some of this stuff because I want to avoid the confirmation bias. And like when I look at something like this, the chart is too convoluted. Like it's too confusing. I'm not going to take this as proof of devolution in any way. It's interesting for sure, but I'm not going to be like, okay, well, Trump is telling us that, like, the fact that this was the chart that was up when the assassination attempt occurred. In order for this, I mean, it's too much, man. It's too much. I don't know where the chart came from. I don't know who made it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But Donald Trump referred to it. He keeps referring to it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a chart that was up when he got shot in the ear.
And then he had it up at the, he pointed it out at the RNC. He's pointed that chart out a bunch of times. He talks about how it's usually on his left, but this time it was on his right. And if it wasn't on his right and he hadn't pointed to this chart, who knows what would have happened.
Maybe, man. I don't know.
People were pointing out that the banner background on Trump's Twitter is a photo from 10/31/20 that he has not changed since. And that photo from that rally on 10/31/20 was in Butler, PA.
Wait, what?
I figure you're pulling it up, right? Yeah.
This was from when?
That was from October 31st, 2020, from a rally in 2020. That picture's been there since before Trump got suspended on Twitter, apparently. And the rally that night and that picture was from Butler, PA. That was like the biggest Trump rally ever at that point. I think he had like 55,000 people there or something, he said.
J6 was bigger.
Well, yeah, but this is before then, and this is a rally.
Sorry. Okay.
Interesting.
And by the way, John, you're saying, it's too much, it's too much, it's too much. I'm actually trying to be very circumspect about what I claim about this. It's super interesting, though, that you say that the chart is unclear, it's ambiguous, and it is in a lot of ways. But there's one thing it's very, very clear about, and that is the arrow that points to Trump leaving office. I refuse to think that is not significant in some big way.
Is it possible that Trump never read this chart?
No, it is not.
I mean, I believe it is.
No, it is not possible.
But also, like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
It's right there, April of 2020.
It's just wild and wacky stuff. Somebody in the chat pointed out April Fools, and Trump has mentioned April Fools many, many times.
But like, okay, Patrick, of all things, like, you think this is some sort of proof that Trump?
I'd say it was a proof.
Okay, well, what are you saying?
I said it was an indication.
Okay, so you think this is an indication that Trump left office or devolved authority? Like, okay, say your conclusion.
I think this is an indication that Trump turned the government authority over way earlier than we think he did, and that this arrow pointing to April of 2020 is when I think it's possible that he turned over power to the government. And by the way, one last thing, it was also, I think, like late March of 2020 that the Newsweek article came out explaining exactly how devolution works.
Yeah, that was I think that was February 28th, wasn't it?
Oh shoot, I thought it was March, but it was this guy named William Arkin who wrote it. And let's see, Newsweek Devolution.
Yeah, I got it right here somewhere.
Yeah, there it is. March 18th, 2020. Exclusive. Inside the military's top secret plans if coronavirus cripples the government.
Yeah.
And so that's right around the exact same time. So that the devolution of the government is being seeded in late March 2020. The final invocation of the Stafford Act takes place on April 4th, 2020, which would be a wonderful prelude to devolving the government. And then the chart. I don't know.
Yeah, and then June 1st is the church walk, the Bible walk.
Yep.
To St. John's Church, and that's the same day that we know military gets involved in monitoring the elections. I mean, it's about that time like stuff starts taking place for sure. Maybe that's when they gave the like, hey man, we're gonna have to do this.
Oh hell yeah, dude!
Because honestly, like the second, think back to, it was January. They signed the trade agreement with China, right?
Mm-hmm.
Phase 2, and it was shortly. Was it the same day that he got cleared of impeachment? It was like around the same time.
Oh,
but then,
dude, it was. I remember. It might have been the same friggin' day.
Because he gets cleared of impeachment, they sign that phase 2 trade deal with China, and then allegedly the first person gets off the plane in like California or Seattle or whatever with COVID. COVID had to have been to Trump. Like if you're Trump and you see this like COVID come out and the media's like all in, like putting the stuff up and the most deadly virus, you see people falling over in the streets over in China, you're probably thinking like, okay, well, they're clearly doing this to steal the election. He said that himself, that they're using COVID to steal the election, to implement mass mail-in ballots. Maybe at that point you knew like, hey, they're not just going to let me have another term. They're going to pull out all the stops to make sure I don't have another term. Maybe to him, that was his, like, this is my act of war. This is when I knew in April on that chart, like you said, this is when I knew it was going to have to go down this way. And that's when he started implementing all that stuff. I mean, that's possible. I don't think that's when he devolved the authority specifically, but maybe that's when they started the planning. I don't know.
Yeah, John, I just hold on. Sorry. I just checked the dates there. The phase 1 deal was signed January 15th, 2020.
Phase 1.
And he announced that phase 2 would be coming soon. The end of the Ukraine impeachment hoax trial in the Senate was January 16th. So one day apart.
Okay. Yep. Sounds close.
Oh,
go ahead, Patrick.
God. These people, it should have seemed more obvious to us at the time. Okay, their impeachment hoax failed, so now the virus hoax. but it was just too big. It was too big of a lie to see it, even for those of us who considered ourselves to be awake. And John, yeah, I don't say, well, this is the date that devolution had to take place. But I think it's pretty clear that April 2020 is an extremely significant time frame. And I think Trump was trying to point us to that in that chart that made the claim that Trump left office in April of 2020.
Yeah, and if you look at my screen right here, the first reported case of COVID in the United States was January 20th. So very shortly thereafter. And then when did he say? I'm trying to find the date of exactly when he said. It wasn't long after, May 7th. He says that COVID is a worse attack than Pearl Harbor, worse than the World Trade Center, worse than 9/11.
Man, we were talking about how the mainstream media reports on certain things and makes it impossible for normal people to connect to a discernible reality that could actually help them guide their lives. I wonder, Patrick and I have been going through the news of 2020 on our show, Hindsight 2020, on Mondays on Badlands.
9 p.m. Eastern.
There we go. And one of the things that you really notice is there's stuff that we could have been paying attention to, that we would have been paying attention to now if we would have been paying attention to back then if we were looking through the same eyes that we look through now. And it's just, man, I can't help but think there might have been a way to observe this and understand this aspect the whole time if we were able to push aside the distraction of the COVID psyop and the summer of love psyop and everything leading up to the election and after, the big lie, the very violent insurrection, and then the vaccine mandates. I mean, all of that was just pure nonsense.
Totally agree with you. And that show, by the way, is brilliant. Like the Hindsight 2020, absolutely love that show. You guys should be watching if you're not. Monday before Baseless Conspiracies. Check that out. One more data point here. Trump labels himself a wartime president. The clip we used many times on the show on March 18th of 2020. So right before April. I mean, maybe this is when they decided, like, hey, we're going to have to this is a war. We're going to have to devolve the government and walk away. Or at least implement some sort of continuity government. I don't know. Interesting point, Patrick.
Thanks. I checked, and there are no national security memorandum documents from this time that I know of.
I got those on standby for like every show, just in case they come up. And we're gonna come to this here in a little bit, by the way.
Look at that. All right, June 9th, 2020.
Well, hey, I don't know. 21.
Oh,
you never know.
Safeguarding. 21 doesn't even have a friggin' date.
No, it doesn't have a date, and it doesn't say the title, but we know it amends NSPM 13, which is the cybersecurity one, which unleashed cybersecurity. If you remember, we've talked about this. If you remember back to my addendum 4, which is the draft executive order, that draft executive order was citing the authorities in NSPM 13 and 21, which is all about cybersecurity stuff. It like cut the red tape so they could conduct offensive and defensive cyber operations without having to go through the bureaucratic red tape, all that bullshit. And this is something too that the Biden administration wanted to rescind. They wanted to rescind NSPM 21 and 13, but they didn't end up doing it.
That's weird. The one that comes after it on June 9th is safeguarding U.S. national interests in the Arctic and Antarctic regions. So at the ice wall and in the Garden of Eden.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna come back to this because I want to talk to you guys a little bit about this one, stockpile stewardship and nuclear testing, and this one, designating the National and Nuclear Risk Reduction Center and National Technical Nuclear Forensics. And there's a few in here. 32 is still missing. 29 and 30 are both still missing, and most of these don't have dates. But I want to come back to this with the looking glass stuff. If you guys are ready for it, if you guys think we've
always ready for it.
Looking glass.
Okay, yeah. So let's start with that. Let me ask you guys before I start going into this, because I know this thing is very Q related, because me and Zach did an episode of this on Baseless Conspiracies about Looking Glass, Project Looking Glass. But when you guys think that, what do you think of in terms of the Q drops? Because I know the Q drops reference it.
I'll let Patrick answer that because I never really paid. So this is not my
Looking Glass apparently was a special government project that allowed the good guys to see the future using magic. That's my understanding.
That is what it seemed like a lot of people came to.
Holy shit.
Needless to say, I haven't looked into it that deeply.
Okay, Marcy, your Rumble rant is so timely. Like, love it. We're going to come to that in a second. Marcy says Trump locked down NORAD and other sites 3/24/2020. That's brilliant with what we're about to talk to. Okay, so I want you guys to think back to right before Trump leaves office, right? Okay, well, let's go back even further. November 3rd election, stolen. November 8th, I think it was, Biden is declared the winner, or no, 9th, maybe it was 9th, November 9th. Shortly after that, the next day, November 10th, Chris Miller is named the acting Secretary of Defense, right? And it goes on from there. After January 6th, there's like this 2-week window where Christopher Miller goes and makes a bunch of weird trips. Okay, like he goes around to all the combatant commanders, and he's like an outgoing acting Secretary of Defense, specialist in regular warfare, by the way. But he, like, why is he doing? He's like a lame duck SecDef, right? Why does he need to go sit down face to face and talk with these guys with not much time left? On January 14th of 2021, Christopher Miller goes and visits Northcom, Peterson Air Force Base. Right here, acting SecDef Miller displays a rock from Cheyenne Mountain Air Force Station presented to him by the commander of the North American Aerospace Defense Command. And I have this is him on his Northcom visit. I have a picture of him and my pseudo namesake Kash Patel, just totally legitimately just reading stuff, just chilling, just bros being bros on the Department of Defense plane, reading classified docs and whatnot, top secret, in front of the press. But okay, this is the part I want to draw attention to. He brings the press with him on this like world tour of combatant commanders. And I want to read some of the statement of what he says here, Patrick. Let's see. Let's skip down to. No, let's just read through all of this.
Acting Secretary.
At least this first part.
Yep. Okay, you guys ready? My statement is just.
And you can read it fairly fast, but I want to read this whole first paragraph. Actually, you know what? Let's just read. Just read. I'll tell you when to stop.
You got it, man. My statement is just, I made some notes. I went out, met with the General Van Herk today and his team. Key tasks were 1, kind of get an update on state of Homeland Defense. 2, make sure that we were synced on not just the inauguration threat, because that's really but at this point, there's a machine that's cranking on that, but just made it. Wanted to talk about the rest of the country, and then listen to this team on the stuff they're doing. They're doing some really, really innovative stuff about, competition and how we do things below the threshold of armed conflict, which I think is kind of really, really important.
Read that sentence again.
The machine.
No, like the most recent sentence.
Okay.
They're doing some really
really innovative stuff about, competition and how we do things below the threshold of armed conflict, which I think is kind of really, really important.
Okay. So the threshold of armed conflict, like him saying that, is very interesting to me because that has come up multiple times in my series. If I go to part 22, irregular warfare, let's do a word search.
Special operations and low intensity conflict.
Yep. And so this is from actually the Federal Mission Resilience Strategy. That's from part 13. That was released in conjunction with Executive Order 13961. And it's talking about our adversaries will not fight on our term. They are adept at competing below the threshold of armed conflict. This is the Devolution Executive Order. Yep. And it comes up multiple times throughout Executive Order 13961, Devolution Part 13. Chris Miller says it in the opening statement to the press here, how we do things below the threshold of armed conflict. So I thought that was interesting. And again, he is talking to this guy Van Herk. He is the combatant commander of NORAD.
NORAD and NORCOM.
And Northcom. Yep.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to go down a little bit, and this is the part right here. Right here. Read this question and this answer.
Right.
So you can read this normal.
So I guess at Northcom, what were you hoping to see? Secretary Miller says, I needed to look the commander in the eye because, the president, SecDef, me, whatever the correct English is, you guys can clean that up, should have paid more attention in high school. My wife would be so ashamed of me not knowing the proper preposition. He means pronoun, whatever. And then, General Van Herk. So, I said it before, you can have VTCs all day long, but you want to I wanted to look the guy in the eye and get a sense for his soul. And I think he probably needed to do that for me as well. So, that was why I really felt it important to go out and sit down and have a cup of coffee with him, talk about it, small group, think through it, make sure we kind of had that mind meld.
So a couple interesting things here. The mind meld thing is something I mentioned on Wednesday's Power Hour, because that is how Kellogg described Pence and Trump. They had a mind meld, but also, again, this is 6 days before the inauguration of Joe Biden. And we have this acting Secretary of Defense feeling the need to go sit down face to face with this combatant commander because he wanted to get a feel for the guy's soul. Like, why would you do that as an outgoing acting Secretary of Defense?
Because you're not outgoing.
That's how I'm looking at it. That's an astute observation, if there ever was one.
I want to ask GPT to come up with alternative explanations.
Can it do that?
Oh, yes, it can.
Wow.
Interesting.
Very
but anyway,
good at it. Dude, bro, it knows the Q drops back and forth. It knows the Devolution series back and forth. It's really good. But another thing about the Insurrection Act, and of course, you all know this, there is a 2-week period after the proclamation to disperse before the actual federal effort to quell the insurrection can be put into motion.
When did they put the fences up and occupy DC?
Right after J6.
Was it right after?
I think, yeah.
Oh,
I want to try to find out.
Okay.
Hey, you look that up while
somebody in the chat probably already knows and is probably already writing it.
You do that, and I'm gonna keep going here because this is where I think things get interesting. So Glenn Irk looked into him a little bit. A couple interesting things. He is from Bismarck, Missouri, and I know for a fact if you are from a town called Bismarck, you are just a badass motherfucker. Okay,
all right,
like case closed from Bismarck. But no, he was United States Northern Command. They were in Peterson Air Force Base in Colorado Springs. Okay. And so I was looking into like this and whatnot. But then I kept coming back to this picture of Chris Miller getting this rock from Cheyenne Mountain. And the reason that is interesting is because we just had this Rumble rant as well. And this is why I said thank you to Marcy. Marcy sent a Rumble rant with this link saying COVID-19 drives command teams charged with Homeland Defense into Cheyenne Mountain bunker. Do you want to read a couple paragraphs of this?
I do indeed. U.S. Northern Command has dispersed essential command and control teams to multiple hardened locations, including the famous Cheyenne Mountain bunker complex in Colorado, as well as another unspecified site, and is keeping them in isolation. The command took these steps to help ensure these personnel can continue to watch around the clock for potential threats to the U.S. homeland as the COVID-19 pandemic continues to expand across the country and around the world, including within the U.S. military. U.S. Air Force General Terrence O'Shaughnessy, by the way, also mentioned in that Newsweek article about devolution, head of Northern Command, NORTHCOM, who also serves as the commanding officer of the U.S. Canadian North American Aerospace Defense Command, NORAD, detailed the changes during a virtual town hall on Facebook on March 24th, 2020. Under normal circumstances, the watch teams, which support both NORTHCOM and NORAD missions, would make shifts staffing a central command center at Peterson Air Force Base in Colorado. Quote, to ensure we can defend the homeland despite this pandemic, our command and control watch team here in the headquarters split into multiple shifts, and portions of our watch team began working from Cheyenne Mountain Air Force Station, O'Shaughnessy explained. A portion of the watch team personnel remain in place at Peterson as well. Cheyenne Mountain is a hardened command and control site, the bulk of which is located inside the mountain of same name, which is part of the Rocky Mountains Front Range and is situated just outside of Colorado Springs. Between 1965 and 2006, the complex served as NORAD's primary command and control center. It was also home to U.S. Space Command between 1985 and 2002. It has also been a central feature in or otherwise referred to in a wide array of popular media, perhaps most famously being a key setting in the 1983 film War Games.
Okay, so very timely, great Rumble rant. Thank you, Marcy. Again, Chris Miller leaves this meeting 6 days before Biden's inauguration. He just had this meeting because he wanted to look into Van Erck's soul. And he leaves there with a rock from Cheyenne Mountain. So I was digging into the Cheyenne Mountain complex, and I got to this Wikipedia link about the construction of Cheyenne Mountain. Okay, and I'm going through. I'm reading through it, and I get to this part right here. Patrick, I want you to read this, and this is where it gets to Looking Glass.
Psychological planning, known as aviation medicine, went into the selection of candidates, which was also related to continuity of government defense programs, such as Operation Looking Glass. This is also the same year the MK Ultra program was authorized.
So I was like, what? A continuity of government defense programs such as Operation Looking Glass? And so I obviously dug into this too. And Operation Looking Glass, and there's actually a decent amount of stuff out there on this, but I think the best thing for us to look at would be this right here. Let me one of the sources of this Wikipedia page was this link here, and there's no information on there, but this is an official United States Strategic Command website. But if you go to the archive of it, Wayback Machine, this is the page that comes up. And so I want to read through the first paragraph and then one of the last paragraphs here. Yeah, go ahead and start reading this.
Mission. A mark of America's strategic excellence is its preeminent ability to command, control, and communicate with its nuclear forces. An essential element of that ability is U.S. Strategic Command's airborne command post, also called Looking Glass. Its highly trained crew and staff ensure there is always an aircraft ready to direct bombers and missiles from the air should ground-based command centers become inoperable. Looking Glass guarantees that U.S. strategic forces will act only in the precise manner dictated by the president.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to one more thing over here on Wikipedia where read this paragraph, because I know this is a Q thing too, the mirror.
Yep, it is. The codename Looking Glass came from the aircraft's ability to mirror the command and control functions of the underground command post at the U.S. Air Force's Strategic Air Command headquarters at Offutt Air Force Base, Nebraska.
And then back to this. Read this last paragraph.
After 46 years, SAC was deactivated on June 1st, 1992, and U.S. STRATCOM was activated. Looking Glass became part of the command activation of U.S. STRATCOM coincided with a change from a bipolar world to a multipolar world in the wake of a dissolving Soviet Union. It also marked a transition for Looking Glass from an Air Force operation to a joint military mission. The basic mission remains unchanged. Looking Glass provides an around-the-clock, survivable, alternate command post for the commander of U.S. STRATCOM and the nation's senior leadership, guaranteeing the use of strategic forces during national emergencies.
So yeah, Looking Glass is a fucking continuity government thing. It's a continuity government program. That's what this is. If the nation's leaders get taken out, Project Looking Glass or Operation Looking Glass for the military is what takes over in responding with our nukes. So if the president and the chain of command gets altered or whatever, for whatever reason, they can no longer give the order, Operation Looking Glass goes into effect, and they're the ones in the air who order our response with our nukes. It's continuity government. Crazy.
Pure and simple. So Looking Glass is continuity of government, not a crystal ball with magic powers.
Yeah, and again, having not read through the Q drops myself, but this is the stuff that like keeps coming up. It's like how many times I'll be talking about something on a DPH and Stormy Joe or Abs or somebody will be like, dude, that's in the drops. Here you go, take a look. The drops and devolution line up in so many ways. And here's the thing too. I even messaged or last night on the Liberty Den, I was talking about like, hey, I have a QE thing. After the show, Zach messaged me. He's like, what do you got? Tell me. So I told him, he's like, oh yeah, man, I dug into this before, but he didn't realize that's like COG, that's continuity of government. So I know I wasn't the first one to find this stuff, but it appears to me even more now that the drops, having not read them, I know that, but they're pointing to like devolution-y stuff, continuity government stuff. It's more and more obvious.
Yes, it is.
And they're running a whole lot of operations out of this post, it seems like. And from what I understand, they've continued doing it since, right?
Yes.
Like via the National Guard, doing various projects, whether it's housing people after the Afghanistan withdrawal, doing southern border related stuff, doing the delivery of various COVID equipment, and then, of course, monitoring or helping roll out the vaccines when that started. All of that stuff seems to be operating out of this command post.
Yeah, it's huge. It's NORAD.
I should say the
Northcom.
NORAD Northcom thing. Yeah, not Looking Glass specifically.
Yeah, because NORAD or Northcom isn't even stationed at Cheyenne Mountain anymore, but it's still there. Like it's at Peterson Air Force Base. But again, when Miller went there 6 days before the inauguration, he left with the Cheyenne Mountain rock. And then that brings me back to those NSPMs I was going to show earlier. Or I did show earlier.
And by the way, I don't think we mentioned it, but Terry O'Shaughnessy, who was mentioned in the article that Marcy sent over as the commander of Northcom and NORAD, was replaced by Van Herk, which is the man who's mentioned by Chris Miller.
Yes, that was Van Herk took over in August of 2020. But yeah, in the NSPMs, there's multiple things around that time frame too of when Chris Miller is there, where there's nuclear stuff. We don't know the exact date of this, but obviously, like NSPM 31 took place sometime after January 13th and before January 14th. So the nuclear, like there's 3 specific nuclear NSPMs all within a few days of Miller being at the Air Force Base. So I mean, it's just interesting stuff. It's another data point. It is what it is. But why would Chris Miller need to go look the guy in the eyes and get a read on his soul as an outgoing acting Secretary of Defense? Just logically, why would he need to do that? Doesn't make sense unless something more is going on.
Why would Miller say that in front of the press and them not follow the F up on that? What were you doing, you stuttering fellow? What are you telling us?
You were not about to say fellow.
Well, look, he had a whole press corps there while he was saying all this shit, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're clearly fucking with him. I mean, look at this picture. Where's that? This one. Like, Kash Patel's like smirking. He's reading top secret government documents in front of the press. Like, really?
Okay. There's a photographer there saying, okay, you're not looking dour enough. All right. Hey, Kash, can you just look a little bit less amused? Okay. 1, 2, 3, go. Photo by Lisa Fernando. He had the whole press corps. He had press there. And he's saying, I just needed to get with the entire United States military and look them straight in the eye to make sure, and then stutter, and then talk about his mother, and then talk about grammar, and then change the subject. And nobody follows up. It's the whole press there.
As far as the picture goes, Patrick, you just drew my eyes to where it says Lisa Fernando there. It also says Office of the Defense Department Public Affairs. So these are internal photos that they're taking and then releasing.
And Lisa was still making them pose for it. That they were posing.
Sure. Oh yeah, I'm not questioning that part at all. I'm just saying this is even more interesting because these are the photos that they chose to put out.
It's so freaking weird.
You guys notice that tag there?
What? The tag? What? Where?
Okay. Tag on the nuclear football.
There. Oh, hello.
Tag on the bag there.
Okay.
Oh.
What does the tag say?
I don't fucking know, but
it's the same tag.
It's the same goddamn tag.
Fuck my life. All right. We got to figure out what that. Look, there are autists in this audience right now who will tell us exactly what that thing is.
I don't know, but it's the same damn tag. So somebody wants to enlighten me. Somebody in the military, probably. It's got to be a military thing. Maybe it's like the all military luggage gets that tag or something. I don't know. But I feel like with the nuclear football, you probably get a little more, like, hey, don't fragile or something, maybe.
Man, the nuclear football has it.
Yeah.
My mind is blown. I'm not gonna lie. God. Yeah. It's just like it feels like we're just about to be given the final piece of the mystery. I think Trump gave us something with his little red arrow. I think that Q, if you go back and read the early Q drops, it hits different now, man.
Yeah, we should do that sometime.
Yeah.
I want to go through some of those at some point.
Yeah.
I don't find the time. But anyway, it's 11:10. We should talk real quick about the Telegram guy getting arrested, because that is an interesting story. And then we should get to the rants, if you guys are good with that.
Got some videos from that Kamabla rally. I haven't watched them yet. I watched one of them, and it's going to be a lot of the same stuff, but it was just a quick video of them having a packed house.
Well, I'm sure they legitimately had a lot of people there, but there was stuff coming out weeks before that, the DNC, where they were like offering $20,000 to influencers to come to the DNC for the weekend or for the week.
All right.
$20K for like a week.
Man,
they do that stuff with like the Super Bowl and stuff too. Things that people actually want to go to. They will still recruit and pay celebrities, take care of accommodations, give them 5-star treatment so that they will have their face on television at that event and make it look as desirable as they want to make it look.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that there is a problem ethically, and I think it should be legally as well, with secretly being bribed to have certain opinions in public. I don't think that you should be allowed to do that.
I think that we should inculcate a culture where people aren't retarded.
Yeah. Okay. But in the meantime, I think we just need to coerce them to act right.
That's what the Democrats think they're doing.
I'll do it. I'll do it myself.
All right.
Look, at some
police power.
At some point, man, like they're just like, what do they do? Like, they either get shit or get off the pot, right? Like, if they are still anti the Trump movement, MAGA movement, when shit gets rectified, like where do they end up on this?
Wait, who's the they?
The retards you were referring to. The people who are actually pro Democrats, pro Kamala, pro all the deep state stuff, establishment stuff. Like, think of all the stuff that you went through as a former Hollywood guy who woke up, was like, I'm sick of the bullshit. I'm going to start actually like speaking some truth here. You've basically been blackballed. Like, there was ramifications for you coming out and taking the stance that you did. Like, actual negative shit happened to you. And it's happened to like most of the people in this movement. Like, that stuff happens. Is it going to be the reverse for them now?
Like, is the same thing going to happen to the people who were doing it before?
It is for the people that are still on the pro establishment deep state narrative now, like, but except it's going to happen later after the election, after everything's fixed. What happens to the people that don't get off their train?
They go absolutely insane.
You think so?
Oh yeah, man. I think that's the 4 to 6% who are lost forever. Like, there's going to be a point at which people who are deeply compromised and extremely corrupt, maybe they've given their whole lives to achieving some kind of material success in that realm. There's going to be a lot of people losing their shit, because you can see how many haven't actually come to terms with the fact that everyone despises them. They're still showing this show. It's not impressing their own supporters. I was talking on the show about this yesterday or the day before. I try to put myself back in that mind and think about, like, could I have defended this thing? Could I have defended this thing? Could I have defended this thing? You know, like back at the beginning, it was like, oh man, they say that trans people are like killing themselves because they're so depressed. I guess we shouldn't make it any worse by making fun of them. You know, and you're like, all right, fine, I guess. Yeah, fine. I won't say anything, you know, and you just move on with your life. And then a few years later, they're like, well, you also have to support us chopping off kids' wee-wees. And you're like, whoa, well, wait a second. I'm not supporting that. And so then you get to the point where you're like, okay, well, I agree with those people, but I don't agree with this thing. And you're constantly like couching it all the time, saying what stuff you don't disagree with or you don't agree with. And now we're at the point where it's like, I can't defend any of this anymore. And you just want to stop being asked. Man, I don't know what in that DNC that normal people can go around defending. It was terrible. Kamala's terrible.
There is a non-trivial portion of the population that is absolutely obsessed with women having the right to butcher children. So I can't get in their minds.
Right, but that's not 50% of the population. It's not.
It's 30.
Nah.
Okay.
I don't think so. I think that there's a group of people who are willing to like let people say that, and they're not going to stand up and do anything about it or speak out against it, but they're not for it. They're just they're people that'll just go with whatever the social incentives convince them is worth going with.
And that's my point. Like, what happens when the social incentives are in the opposite direction? What do these people do?
It's flipped, and they don't know it. It flipped years ago, and they haven't figured it out.
But is it because the money's still coming in?
Money, but mostly just social pressure and social credit.
Yeah.
But what you're saying, it flipped, but they're still holding their positions. Is it because of the money?
So there's this really weird thing, this dynamic where people won't say the thing that everyone else agrees with because they think everyone else disagrees. And that's part of the brainwashing. I always describe it as like a dinner party. Like back in 2020, I might have been the only person at a dinner party who, like, of 10 people who would actually speak up and say something, you know. And now it's going to be like now we're to the point where 3 or 4 people will say it and 8 agree. And the 2 that disagree, they're just so like awful and offensive, and they'll punish you and whatever. And so there's a lot of people who will shut up, but that number has continued to diminish while the people who are speaking up have continued to grow. And the more that happens, the more other people realize, oh, wait, I'm silencing myself, even though everyone agrees with me and not those people. And that's where we are right now. So it's just a matter of people speaking up and like actually being confident and taking ownership for what they know to be true, because everybody else does know it.
Yeah. I love that, man.
I
We're the ones who have been speaking up first. So we should get like a sticker for that or something.
Oh yeah, I'm sure our stickers are in the mail.
You think we're getting those stickers, man?
Yeah.
Fuck, I hope so. Anyway,
I'm able to see what you're talking about, Chris, when it comes to the social incentives being reversed. I have lost any trace of keeping my mouth shut, not because I want to get along, but because it benefits me now to speak up quickly, be the first to speak up.
Yeah.
But I'm in Texas. It's true, but the racial divide is kind of falling away in big, important ways.
What do you mean?
You can no longer look at a black person and assume they're a Democrat with any reliability whatsoever where I live.
Yeah.
Where do you live?
Yeah.
Can you post your address on the screen? Can you show us?
Yeah, sure.
I don't know.
I'll find some other way to refuse that sounds positive.
All right. Let's talk real quick about the Telegram thing, because it is pretty damn interesting that the owner and creator of Telegram was on vacation. I don't know what he was doing, but he was flying from, what was it, Albinazad or something?
Azerbaijan.
Yeah, I was close. Heard it both ways. To Paris. And once he gets to Paris, he got arrested by French authorities for like aiding and abetting trafficking and drug sales and all these things because of his platform Telegram. And essentially it's because he wouldn't censor on Telegram. And so he is facing up to 20 years in prison over this. And it's interesting, especially because after 2020 went down, 2021, like Telegram was the spot. Like that's where I first started.
Yeah.
And I was late to the game. I was there in like June, but a lot of people went there like right away in January before they even kicked off of Twitter because they kind of saw the writing on the wall. Telegram was a platform a lot of people went to. Ooh, that's interesting, Chris.
By the way, the first thing I saw when it came out that this Pavel Durov had been arrested in France, I caught 2 seconds of a Twitter Spaces where Kim.com was on there. His first response was, "Why the hell was he in France in the first place? Is he crazy?" And I was like, you know what? That's a great point. What was he doing in France?
I think I read that he lives there.
Oh, okay, well, there you go.
He lives there, but he just got arrested now this time.
I don't know. Somebody said that. I'm not sure that's true. I know he doesn't. The Tucker interview, he talked about how he didn't live in Russia. So I don't know where he lives, but that is something I read earlier. Someone can fact check me on that. It does occur to me, though, that the things that he's being accused of being responsible for on Telegram are things that everyone knows happened on Twitter. And you got to think that this is some kind of like op to publicize that.
Do we have any idea what the actual accusation that the French authorities are making against this Russian fellow?
Let's see what the Guardian has to say, man.
Oh boy, oh boy. Get ready for some truth bombs. All right, so Telegram app founder Pavel Durov reportedly arrested at French airport. Billionaire CEO who was traveling aboard his private jet was subject of arrest warrant, according to TV reports. Apparently he's 26 or however old he is. He's very, very, very young for those of you just listening.
Well, 39.
Okay, well, he looks great. Anyway, Pavel Durov, billionaire co-founder and chief executive of the Telegram messaging app, was arrested at the Bourget airport outside Paris on Saturday evening, TF1 TV said, citing an unnamed source. Durov was traveling aboard his private jet, TF1 said on its website, adding he had been targeted by an arrest warrant in France. The 39-year-old is understood to have been traveling from Azerbaijan and was arrested at about 8 p.m. local time. Are police actions the kind of things that you need an unnamed source for? Well, wouldn't the police say this?
Find me a story these days without an unnamed source, bro.
God, okay, anyway. Durov was expected to appear in court on Sunday, according to an unnamed source. Anyway, the Russia-born entrepreneur lives in Dubai, where Telegram is based.
Ah, there we go.
Holds dual citizenship of France and the UAE.
Okay,
Also,
so
there we go.
$12 billion, $15.5 billion.
So I just verified this. That airport that he flew into is a private FBO. So that's for private travel and business travel. It's not a public airport. Just FYI.
I can't imagine being rich enough to have like a private jet. Like that'd be so cool.
Yeah, dude. A G6. Whatever that
I'm
is.
trying to find where he.
Just according to unnamed sources,
right here.
He's been arrested. Hoffman, a part of the National Directorate of French Judicial Police, had placed an arrest warrant on Durov, a French-Russian dual national, due to lack of cooperation with law enforcement and suspected complicity in drug trafficking, pedocriminal offenses, and fraud, according to TF1. Okay, so this guy's innocent of everything.
Yeah. Well, the claim is that it was facilitated by Telegram, which is a preposterous sort of claim unless he had full knowledge of it and was allowing it to happen.
Yeah, this is so stupid.
And
it is
for
so
what it's worth, he doesn't have pedo face.
But it is interesting what you said earlier, Chris, about this being like all the stuff we know has happened on Twitter.
Yeah. This is
all the stuff that's happened on Twitter.
Absolutely.
Dude, Twitter is a human trafficking cesspit that Elon Musk has done what he can to clean up.
Yes, but like this comes down to a different kind of argument. You know, like, so this guy created a platform And bad people have used that platform to do bad things. Yet they're going to arrest the guy who created the platform instead of erasing. Instead of arresting the bad people who've done the bad things. Like that. That doesn't make sense to me.
It was like arresting Alexander Graham Bell for people committing fraud over the telephone.
I think we should look to do that. I think he deserves to rot in jail, man.
I agree.
So then the question would be, do people like, and maybe Jack Dorsey's kind of out of the conversation at this point. I think people don't really kind of put the onus on him, but Vijay Gotti or whoever was there toward the end stages of Twitter 1.0, would they be responsible for that?
No, to me, this comes down to like the same. It's the gun argument. It's like, does the gun fire itself? No, no. The people use the gun to do the bad things. The people are the ones who did it. Telegram itself, if nobody used it, would just be like a fucking code on the internet. Nobody would use it. But bad people do bad things. They're going to find ways to do those bad things. It's not his fault that they did those bad things on his platform. You know what I mean? Like it's that kind of argument. I don't know, man.
I guess we're going to have to get into the details, but man, it really is interesting that a story like this would pop up, that these would be the justifications, that it becomes headline news. So many people use Telegram now. And also Tucker Carlson interviewed him just a couple of months ago.
And this story that you sent over, Putin, Patrick, you want to read this? I'm not going to say that word.
From the AP, Putin meets Azerbaijani president in Baku to strengthen ties as regional tensions persist.
And so that's where he was flying back from.
And that was
same week as
5 days ago.
Yeah.
Man.
Russian leader Vladimir Putin held talks on Monday with his Azerbaijani counterpart as part of a 2-day trip to secure Moscow's under-pressure trade routes and shore up ties in the South Caucasus.
Interesting. And then I know Mike Benz on Twitter has been talking about how like the State Department is the one who pressured French authorities to do this because State Department bad. I mean, that's true. Mike Benz is usually spot on with that stuff, and it wouldn't surprise me, but I don't know.
I guess we'll see where this story goes. I have a feeling he's probably going to be okay.
Probably.
I think so too.
Anyway, we'll see. But real quick, before we get to the Rumble rants, I just want to say, 1, hit the thumbs up button. We appreciate that. And number 2, we got some new merch launching. And I want you guys to take a quick sneak peek, 30-second video. Check it out.
Oh, new merch. All right, let's check it out. Devolution Power. Oh, hello.
Eye of the Storm, Baseless, Defected, and Hindsight 2020 is on there.
Woohoo! Hey,
look how good you look, Patrick.
Yeah, I don't actually look like that.
You're not supposed to tell people that. Yeah,
that's nice airbrushing. Whoever did that to my face, thank you.
Those are all Andy 5x5 products.
Outstanding. Dude, I need more pictures that look like that.
Yeah, didn't you? I guess, yeah, you obviously haven't watched the Liberty Den from last night, but
we need a story hour version up in there. What's up?
Well, he's working on it. He's working on it. But we got Hindsight 2020.
That's good.
But there's the picture.
It's a good shirt.
Wait, hang on a second. Who's the guy on the left?
That's me, bro.
Oh. Okay.
Fuck you. Just kidding.
Who's that fashion model on the left? Yeah, they made me look good. They made me look good.
They did some improvements to all 3 of us.
Yes, they did.
They're working on getting all the shows up, but for now we're starting with this. So you can get that badlandsmedia.tv, click on the merch. I believe it's up on our website now. I could probably double check that before I send everybody over there.
How tall did they make Burning Bright?
I don't know. He's like 4'3" in real life, so it's pretty. Yep, it's up, guys, now. So go check it out on our website.
That looks good.
And we'll be adding more stuff there. And we got a little project going with Rise Attire, so that'll be coming soon as well. But all right, you guys ready for the rants? Patrick, do you have them pulled up by chance?
I did pull them up. I pulled them up tardily, so I might have missed some. But I just want to do one quick thing. I want to read a recent review of Rainfall.
Do it up, man.
Just came in.
While you do that, I'm gonna go pee.
Okay. Glad you're so interested. Anyway, from epicminerals.net.
Yeah, I'll stick around Rainfall. And then I'll go pee after.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Rainfall from Sandy Hill. I broke my big toe 3 weeks ago. being a toe, it wasn't casted or anything. I still have been getting pain if I moved my foot wrong in my sleep and was feeling discouraged. My daughter saw the ingredient list of my bottle of Rainfall and suggested I lather it on my toe and wrap it in gauze. I did before I went to sleep and woke up with no pain at all the next morning. It appears that several of the oils, like castor oil, have pain-relieving properties. My hands are also feeling smoother. I love this product. Guys, go to epicminerals.net. Use promo code BADLANDS for the new lotion that is sweeping the Badlands community. Promo code BADLANDS for 10% off epicminerals.net. And when you use that promo code, don't forget, it goes right into an account. 25% of your sale goes into an account. It pays Badlanders salaries.
Patrick, you kind of sounded like Ned Flanders when you said tardily. It made it, yeah. It made me feel like you were saying a cute version of retardily. Yeah.
Dude, I couldn't think of another word.
No, it was good.
Tardily. So stupid. Okay.
Patrick, what's the first rant that you have?
Oh, great question. It's somewhere. Oh, there it is. The first rant that I have is $20 from Eileen Michaud, 17, 10:20 p.m. Love that. RFK highlighted Kamala wouldn't even talk to him about chronic illness and protecting children.
Okay, so we got a lot before that. I'm going to read those because I got those pulled up.
Sounds delightful.
Ironically, though, Eileen Michaud, 17, she had a few in here.
Nice.
$20. I always go back to Mike Pompeo at the governor's conference. Clearly, many U.S. governors are compromised. Walz is one of them. Dong gave us all of them.
Dong
did give the list of governors that were compromised. And in a way, they all got the dong, if you know what I mean.
They got the dong.
J. Drake 83. Patrick, what do you recommend for further reading on zeolite? Not medical advice. I know, but are 15 sprays based on a suggested dosage? Like, to do my own research. See you all at GART Myrtle Beach.
You need to go to Dr. Tom Cowan and Dr. Andrew Kaufman. You'll find them on BitChute, most likely. Just watch everything they do to talk about zeolite. And as far as how to use it, that's just what the recommended dosage on the bottle is from the guy who manufactures the stuff, who is also a Badlander. But I've been modifying my dose. I like 15 in the morning, 15 in the afternoon, but it really is up to you. The stuff's not going to hurt you.
And he does make a good point that none of this should be taken as medical advice or financial advice, and potentially not even like life advice, depending on what we're talking about. So
there's no advice taking place here at all.
We're just hanging out.
Yeah.
Couple bros hanging out. Texan by birth 11 says, don't call it Mpox, call it monkey pee. Sounds more fun. Love y'all.
Monkey pee.
That's
Thanks
good.
for
I
the
haven't
fun.
heard that one. Yeah, that's good.
I like that. Sickman EC88, Taylor and Travis, ew, yuck, DPH and Badlands Media, woohoo. I can get on board with that.
Woohoo.
Melindy, $5 says 14 minutes from Ben's regarding Telegram. I got a link here. I'm not going to watch the full 14 minutes of that on air, but I will watch that later.
We'll check that out.
Yep. Blue 7 Eye says, seeing the three of you in Deadwood was a thrill. It was a thrill to see you too. It was awesome in Deadwood. What do you guys think? Did we even talk about that? I don't think we did. You guys both clearly love Deadwood.
Oh, yeah. That was a blast.
Their blackjack game is extremely easy to sit down at. It was not overcrowded. And I can tell you right now, it is a fair game. I walked up there, I took a little money off them, and I walked away. And they did not give a shit that I took their money from them.
Good for you, man.
Yeah.
Awesome. Americus 1871 says, can we talk about recent narratives about Vance and his German Shepherd, please? .coms. I haven't seen any comms about that.
Neither have I.
He walked. There was video of him getting out of a black SUV with a dog leash in his hand. The dog jumps out. The two of them walk up goddamn, I cannot think of words tonight. The stairway that like walks you into an airplane.
I don't know what that word is either.
It has a word.
The airplane stairs. Airplanes.
So it looks like he's never met this dog before and doesn't really have a sort of owner's control of a dog or comfort with the dog. So the dog leads JD Vance up into the plane, and then getting out it's I guess maybe the dog follows him or something because they come back out. That was the day that JD Vance's plane couldn't fly all the way to where it was going or whatever.
I mean, those are just like airplane stairs, aren't there? There isn't a fancy name for them, are there?
I think the fancy name is air stairs.
Clever. I like it. Okay, anyway, interesting. Didn't see that. But BS Girl 1950, Elon is hard to listen to also. You really have to focus.
I agree.
Yeah. JBA 512 says, sent you the JFK Jr. book video on X, John. I saw that. Thank you, sir. I believe I follow you over there on Twitter. Ali Stussy says, I love you guys. We love you too.
Love you back.
Shiner, $10. RFK Jr. on abortion. There's a link here. I will check that out. Thank you. Resolute 23 Patriots, $17. RFK intro, 2 sets of 11 sparks, 11 up, 11 down. 11.11 is a strategic marker. JFK EO 11.11.0, also biblical. Read John 11.11. And have your great awakening like Lazarus. Autists rule.
Autists do rule.
I agree with that. I like it. Thank you, Resolute. Dicept says, and by the way, Quinn gave like $40 last night talking about how great of a singer you are, Patrick. So
thank you. Okay, let's move on.
I mean, you don't get any of it. It's all to the Liberty Dem people, but
fine, whatever.
Say that. So anyway, another $10 tonight. Thank you, Quinn. Trump campaign said they licensed that song so Dave Grohl can go F himself. That's awesome. If that's true, I'm sure it's true. Beachside says, heaven send hell away. No one sings like you anymore. Love you, Patrick.
Mwah.
Brogent, anyone have it take RFK dropping out and endorsing Trump for Chris to be excited about the 2024 fake election on the bingo card?
I mean, I'm still not excited about the election. I just like that that this part of the story is now coming up.
And the election is still fake.
Of course it's still
to be
fake.
fair.
And my wedding anniversary is also November 5th, so that's going to be lit.
That'll be much better because the election will probably be canceled.
Probably.
The 2020 election was won by Trump. He did not concede. It is still unresolved. You can't just go have another real election.
Yep.
And all the elections since then have been obviously stolen in broad daylight. So I don't know why we keep doing this. Every time we say, oh, we're going to fix it with this election. We've already done this 3 times, 21, 22, 23. And 22, there was a big red wave and people were like, oh, the TV said we lost again. I guess we didn't have a red wave.
Well, no, 2018. So executive order.
Go back further, sure.
The foreign interference in the United States election, 13848, was September 8th, I think, of 2018. We had an election after that, 2018, and then 2020, then 2022. So we've had 3, like you said. And all 3 of those have found, like, Executive Order 13848 has been implemented on all 3 of those elections.
Well, yeah, but also we had the Glenn Youngkin election was 21. So was a New Jersey governor election. And I'm sure there was 1 or 2 more. 2023 had the Kentucky governor election. There have been abortion ballot measures that have been stolen. There are primaries that have been stolen in each one of these years. There are so many elections that have been stolen in broad daylight. It's actually all of them. And you can look for the signs in every single primary result. And still people are like, aha, we got rid of Cory Bush.
I mean, that was cool.
Totally.
Whatever.
And that's just here domestically. We're not even talking Myanmar. We're not even talking Brazil. We're not even talking Argentina. Like all these other, there's fucking elections everywhere.
Same stories over and over and over again.
Yep. Keith O'Higgins says Zapruder did have dual citizenship. Just saying.
Ooh.
I wonder what the other country he has citizenship with is.
I don't know. Eileen Mashad 17. Love that RFK highlighted Kamala wouldn't even talk to him about chronic illness and protecting children. Yeah, they kind of really effed him dirty there.
Are we on to the stuff I need to be reading?
I can keep reading. I don't mind. Or you can. It doesn't matter. You go ahead.
No problem. What are we on? That's the question.
Okay, I'll keep reading. The Q Awakening. Could Biden have been forced out because he was directly implicated in the Trump assassination attempt or because he failed to kill Trump? Timing of the sequence of events in July is highly sus. Nah, maybe, but I doubt he had any idea about any of that stuff. It was CIA, bro. Wags Flake 73. Truly an honor to meet you all at GART. Unbelievable experience. Time is coming to ante up and kick in like men. Morgan Freeman in glory. Thank you all. I like Morgan Freeman and Snakes on a Plane, personally.
It was Samuel L. Jackson.
Oh, that's right.
Right.
Same
Samuel
difference.
L. Jackson is also black, though. So it's
Same
pretty
difference.
close. Yeah.
God. Lincoln Hawk Martin. Trump is, nice to see a link, by the way. Trump is 78 years old. There is no next time. Donald J. Trump will take office for a second term in 2025. America and the world will see a dramatic change all around. Enjoy the show, but be prepared for chaos.
Third term.
Do anticipate chaos. That 14th Amendment, Section 3, 14th Amendment, that shit's coming. They're going to do that.
The
They're going to
14th
try that.
Amendment. All of the amendments after number 10 have to go away.
Abraham Zapruder
I like that.
was a Ukrainian-born American.
Did not know that.
Ukrainian-born.
Because of course.
So he had dual citizenship, right of return to Ukraine, is what you're saying?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying he was born in Ukraine. That's what I got.
Does that make him Prussian?
According to Chris and me, it would.
It also probably makes him Khazarian.
I bet you he's Jewish. Yeah.
I mean, it's just true.
I love our deductive reasoning. That all made sense. Every single statement. Keith O'Higgins, did you guys notice how good Oprah looked at 70 and how Kamala looked so weathered at only 60? I guess only half black does crack.
Wow. That's messed up.
That's
messed up.
wonderful.
That was only $1 rant too. I feel like that should have been at least 5. But thank you, Keith.
You are not allowed to talk about our whore of a fake vice president that way.
Angie K says Senator Ron Johnson made this chart. He has spoke about it several times, and he is the one they gave it to Trump. That I did not know that, and I feel like Ron Johnson needs to learn how to make a proper chart because the fact that there's so much confusion over this chart means he doesn't know how to properly make a chart.
He's perfectly good at pointing to April 2020 with a red arrow.
Yeah, he's good at the arrow thing, but he's not good at if he had used the same size text, it'd been way more clear. Whatever. We don't need to go back into that. Ganaka 1. There's a video of Trump saying, "See the red arrow? That's when I left office." The guy that brought this up initially showed the video on Truth. Maybe. Old 54PK up. Maybe it was his last week in the office and he moved to Mar-a-Lago. But we know that's not true because he was definitely doing stuff at the White House. I don't know.
Or he was doing stuff at a White House set somewhere.
Maybe that's when the act of war was declared in April. Except he said he was a wartime president in March. I don't know. It's notable, but doesn't necessarily prove anything, but it's notable.
I need to say something else real quick. Remember how I talked about the timeline and the countdown in February of 2020? The silent war continues, blah, 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 blah. Right in the middle, right towards the end of that countdown, February 17th, 2020, was when Q says, "To be blunt, game over." So Q was putting out big messages that the shit was going down behind the scenes.
February 17th.
Yep.
The proof of the pudding's in the eating.
I don't know, man. Maybe. Escape the Matrix 91.
I miss Joe Biden.
I do too. We've hardly seen him at all.
How many times did I tell everybody we're going to miss that son of a bitch?
700 billion and $1.3 billion.
Times. We're going to miss him.
How is that real? It's so ridiculous.
It is, but it's so perfect. I mean, it's for some great memes, and those we'll use those forever.
Yeah.
Escape the Matrix. Trump's cover photo from 1031 hits a delta. Bitcoin white paper was released 103108. Did not know that one. It is funny how the RFK stuff has only emboldened G Money, if that were possible. But anyway, Buster Lou says, in my opinion, the only thing not confusing about the chart is the big block red arrow saying, look here. I agree with Patrick, and I definitely think this is a Devo-proof April Fool's. Maybe.
April showers.
May showers.
No, April showers bring May flowers.
So April Fools wouldn't bring April showers.
Showers. Yeah, April Fools, then April showers, then May flowers. April showers is a phrase used in the Q drops.
Okay.
Specifically Q drop 1127.
What's it in reference to?
I don't remember. Hold for processing.
Okay, I'm going to keep going. Marcy USA, Trump lockdown NORAD. That's the link we showed earlier. Thank you for that. That was a really cool rant. That's perfect. Keith O'Higgins, $2 rant now. So this was going to be double as awesome. Hopefully half as racist. Epigraph has always been the slowest form of communication. Gets faster with the telegraph, then the telephone, then the television. The fastest means of communication is always telewoman. Clever.
I love
that. I like it.
How much was the rant for?
$2.
Oh, it's okay, I guess.
Tattoo teacher, nice to see you teach. Always love seeing her at Gart's. Saw her last week. Miss her already, but she says National Technical Nuclear Forensic has to do with uranium-1. There you go. Thank you. Do you have something for us, Patrick?
I got nothing.
Okay. The final demand. Kyle so poetically stated, we witnessed a divine election. God chose Trump in the moment he repeated that this is when shit jumped off. It's not a mistake or coincidence, which is God's way of remaining anon.
Oh, you were asking me about that Rumble, about that Q drop. Yeah.
Well, I was asking you brought that up.
Hat tip to Root Bitch for sending this to me from drop 1127 of April 11th, 2018. Our comms must be this way. Refer back the why, nat, sec laws, trust the plan, April showers, Q.
I wonder if, okay, read that one more time.
Absolutely. This is dropped 1127 of April 11th, 2018. So exactly 2 years before the 2020 April 10th moment. Our comms must be this way. Refer back the why, nat, sec laws, trust the plan, April showers, Q.
National security laws, comms must be this way. That's something to do with posse. That feels very posse comitatus.
That's what she said.
You're welcome. That's like you can't use domestic military stuff for certain things. I don't know. We'll have to dig into that.
Referring to the national security laws part of it. It
Yeah.
has to do with comms. Because of national security laws, we have to say these things a certain way that forces you to have to look back to find out what's going on now. That's why everybody talks about deltas.
Maybe that's why they use the Socratic method too. Like they can't directly tell you, but they can ask you questions to get you to figure it out for yourself type thing.
Yep. Yes.
Interesting. Okay. Anyway, Up North Soon says, question, wouldn't it be really helpful if there was a day-by-day timeline of events starting from the date he walked down the escalator?
Oh, yes.
It'd be cool if there's a show that covered like some of this stuff in hindsight too. Like
it would be very cool.
Roughly 4 years ago.
Day by day timeline. I mean, that's that would be enormous with the number of things that have happened.
Just tell ChatGPT to crank it out in 10 seconds.
Can it do that?
Yes.
A day by day timeline of everything Donald Trump has done since.
Yes, it can.
June 15th, 2015. Wow.
Do it right now.
Yes. Okay, fine. Hold for processing.
It's going to tell you to fuck off.
Day by day timeline of Trump's activities since when? June 15th, 2015?
Yeah, I think
no, he said since he walked down the escalator. So that was 2016.
Screw it.
2015.
That was 2015. Since he walked down the escalator, is all I'm going to say.
Okay, I'm going to keep reading. I'll give you 20 minutes for that to load. Tom Terrific 54. Miller needed the general to acknowledge that the orders he received are real and assess if he will follow them. Kind of what it feels like. Like, why else would you need to read a man's soul? See what kind of guy he is. Keith O'Higgins, $2. Think Chris Miller's red shoelaces signify a red folder moment, aka 2,000 mules, or that red shoe Pope is now tied up and pedophiles are heading to rough terrain. Maybe. Counterinsurgent. So the Twitter post related to Looking Glass was about a list of DoD IP addresses posted in 2019.
You're right. It's telling me to fuck off.
What is it saying?
Creating a day-by-day timeline of Donald Trump's activities since he descended the escalator in June 2015 is an extensive task due to the significant number of events over the years. However, there are several detailed resources available that document key events during Trump's campaign, presidency, and beyond. And then it tells me, and then it gives me some links. And then I think in the most polite of terms, it is telling me to go fuck myself. I'm completely shocked. This never happens.
That was the first for everything. Counterinsurgent, you said that there's a Twitter post related to Looking Glass was about a list of DoD IP addresses. If you could send that over, maybe tag me on Twitter or post a link or something, I'd be interested. Because when I think DoD IP addresses, I think what happened the day of Joe Biden's inauguration, where everything was sent off site. So post that link. That'd be cool. J Matz, media plus government equals fascism. Hard to disagree with that. 1027 JS says, thanks for the live dig. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate that. Q Patriot 27. If you do a search on Q and just type 11.1, you will see most all of them talk about indictments, arrests, military, etc. I believe this November is when all these arrests start happening. Maybe. Keith O'Higgins. Could the Miller gift be a signal that the real war is underground, thus the generals are just getting their rocks off? God damn it, Keith.
Wow.
You just turn. Is that Fredo Awakening stock account or something? Because like some borderline Fredo Awakening jokes. Resolute 23 Patriot says, phone coincidentally on the wall above the nuclear football. Call the ball. Authentic football. Or sorry, authentic photo. This isn't rocket surgery, right, Elon? Autis rule. Like that. Ash 75 Nelly, love you boys. So tired I can't keep my eyes open. Keep up the great work. It keeps our Jimmys rustling and our Janies jumping. I'm ready for the arrest to start. XOXO, Ashley and the Nelly Lab sisters. They are sponsors of Badlands. So thank you, Ashley. Appreciate that.
Is Janie's jumping a thing now?
It is for $20 rant. We'll make that.
It sounds like we're 1/6 of the way to completing the new version of the 12 Days of Christmas.
Jimmy's rustling, Janie's jumping.
Yeah.
I love that. That's so good. Resolute 23 Patriot says, Q drop 4360, call the ball. Back in the day, we simply called devolution continuity of government. I'm impressed with your ability to get this far without Q. You need Q to progress. Autis rule. I've been told that before, that I need to go through the Q drops.
Did anybody notice that Elon Musk posted, corporate needs you to find the difference between these two pictures, and it was a picture of himself and then a picture of Kim Jong-un?
What?
That's so funny.
Here, I'm showing it to you now. I was in the middle of trying to find Owen Benjamin being like hilarious, and then I came across this tweet from Elon Musk, and it goes very, very simply. It's a meme, of course. Elon Musk on X, corporate needs you to find the difference between these pictures. Now,
that's got to be kind of sarcastic comeback to the people who are calling Elon Musk like a brutal dictator and stuff, right?
Or like Little Rocket Man.
I think no, it's because Elon Musk calls himself Rocket Man.
That's hilarious. I love it no matter what. My review of that picture, Patrick, that tweet is Totar win.
Totar win.
Oh my gosh.
That is the greatest video ever.
It is.
Moonshine Mitch says, great show. I just want to contribute to help keep you guys here. Thank you guys. And we do appreciate your support. A bulk of our funding comes from you guys in the rants. So we appreciate that
and
always.
when you buy things from our sponsors.
Like
epicminerals.net, promo code Badlands.
There you go. Keith Higgins, a French prison is so much better than a Russian prison, or as they say and sing, it's Les Miserables. That's
wow, man.
He's on a roll right now.
Crushing it.
That was good. Rambo and Friends, Purple Rainfall next time, Patrick.
Oh, yeah, in honor of Prince.
Rainfall. Yeah. James Jacob says Q drop 2731 is greater than Q drop 1836. Gematrix.org Q. I don't understand any of that, but
okay, I need to figure that out. I think it doesn't have to be greater than, it can be points to. So sometimes
maybe
they just use that term, they use that symbol improperly. And I hate it.
Roger Paul 59 says 1984 film Countdown to Looking Glass connection ? Maybe. Cranop 59 says air stairs are built into plane. Boarding stairs. Derdoa on my part too. Thank you, Cranop. Wildboar 17 comms from Casa de Wildboar. And it's a tweet of his. And I don't know if you want to show it because it feels like what the hell is going on here? I'm going to show it. That is Cranop. Or Wildboar, I mean. Sorry. Yo, Crane. Are they watching us live from their couch? I don't know what's happening, but whatever. Thank you, Wildboard. Nice to see you, buddy. Wildboard 17. What?
Hold on. Let me pop this up here. So this is the movie. Check out the description there on IMDb.
Patrick, you want to read that?
Yes, I do. Countdown to Looking Glass. The TV movie from 1984, 90 minutes long, dramatic doomsday scenario in which the Cold War fully escalates. The story is told through a live news report that follows the apocalyptic, world-ending nuclear exchange between the USA and the USSR.
I'm telling you, Looking Glass. Looking Glass is a continuity government program.
This guy rules.
Oh yeah, he's funny. That's cool. I didn't know there's a movie about that. I'm gonna check that out. Wildboar 17, be excellence to each other. Thank you. Wildboar 17, be excellent to each other too. Thank you. Smug 33K, love Saturday DPH. Patrick, your shirt fabric would make a great necktie.
By the way, thank you very much for that. And John, that name is pronounced Some Geek.
What did I say?
Wow.
Smug 33K. I got it wrong like 17,000 times. I finally got properly corrected. Some Geek. There we go.
Yeah, well, thank you. The Final Demand. Did I say that one right?
You did.
Okay. Biden disappeared from the news cycle. He's gone. Does he know he's gone? Trump says it all the time. Future proofs past. Biden really believes he is president. He's living in a matrix within a matrix. Or he's old as shit and has Alzheimer's.
Or that, or he's
thing.
Jim Carrey in a mask.
Could be. Has Jim Carrey done any movies recently?
No.
Gallant 1. Zapruder had an 8mm home film, not video camcorder, camera in 1963, just like my father did.
Patrick, I was looking at Zapruder's Wikipedia kind of like 20 minutes ago, and it talked about how either he or his father was like a 33rd degree Mason in the Scottish Rite, and he died. Abraham Zapruder died in 1970, so before his video was ever made public.
Yep. And according to some, he sued to keep it from being released and whatever. I don't believe any of it. And also, apparently, all dinosaur bones are murderously radioactive and only 33rd level Freemasons are allowed to touch them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's all stupid.
Is that how they turn them into gasoline?
Pretty much.
Magic dinosaur bones.
Yeah.
Become gasoline. Yeah. Rave Daddy 523 says, ask ChatGPT of all the day-to-day events of Obama or Bush or Clinton, what happens?
Oh, I don't know. I'm gonna try right now though.
Copy and paste that shit. Same thing you said for the Trump, except replace with Obama. Missy Lola, go look at the Biden at the 4th of July celebration in DC, clearly under military control. Check that out. James Jacob, Brother, do we really need to stop speaking in Alice in Wonderland? It means look at Q drop 2731, then look at Q drop 1836, then look at the values of those numbers in gematria. How about you just tell us what you're trying to say instead of having us decipher them?
That would be cool too. Oh, I tried it for Obama and it gave me the exact same look, dude. That's a lot. Just stop. So
okay, that's fair.
Same response.
Resolute 23 Patriot. These people are stupid. Q4360, Insurrection Act of 1807, determination that the various state and local authorities are not up to the task of responding to the growing unrest. Call the ball. Q. Reminds me of Devolution Part 6. Get the military involved, surveillance, all that shit. All right, guys, that's all the rants.
Amazing.
Show.
Great
Fun
show.
Oh, we got another one come in. Keith O'Higgins, the difference between Musk and Kim is one has Asperger's and the other makes his people eat Asperger's.
That is messed up.
That is so delightful. Thank you so much for that.
You cannot say that about the
how much
little
you want.
rocket man.
How much you want to bet North Korea is fine?
Yeah, North Korea probably rules. Kim Jong-un is rad.
Dude, they send balloons of shit to South Korea.
I hope that's true.
That's the funniest thing of all time.
He went on an Instagram mandate with Vladimir Putin and they exchanged dogs and horses like over a tea party. It's hilarious.
Like when we go to Myrtle Beach, I want to send shit balloons to Burning Bright as like his real house. I want to do that. That's so funny.
How do you make a shit balloon float?
Well, you just you make a bag of shit and you tie it to balloons and enough balloons for it to float in the air.
Okay, I thought the shit was inside of the actual balloon.
I don't think so. Let me look up North Korea shit balloon.
Okay.
And North Korea, it comes up. North Korea sends poop-filled balloons into South. North Korean balloons dropped feces and other garbage on busy streets in front of residents.
What's funny is my wife and I are planning to do a dance show to the song 99 Red Balloons.
99 shit balloons, bro. It's the Kim Jong-un remix. But it's just so funny. It's like coming from a military installation, like North Koreans, like we just completed this daring military operation of sending these feces-filled balloons to the South.
I hit the thumbs up, guys, despite all of the feces talk. Just ignore that. Just hit thumbs up now.
Yeah, good show, guys. We will see you next week.
I don't know if we have anything to go out on, so I brought up Totar Win just in case.
Let's play that, and then I'll just play our typical trailer of Patrick being the most autistic he's ever been before.
Yes.
But yeah, let's see it. Oh, you got it?
Yeah.
Okay. Catch y'all later.
Night, guys.
President Trump making history, becoming the first American president to ever step foot onto North Korean soil.
조국과 인민을 위하여 용감히 싸워 나갑시다. That's what the hell you think? This got so much yang. This why so much wang. This why no more yin. So much wang. Total win. Total win. Total win. Total win. Total win. I'm gonna rush ass what the hell you think? This got so much about. This why so much wow. This why no more shit. So much wow. Total win. Total win. Total win. Total win. I'm gonna rush ass. Hello, America. I think you know me. My name is Kim Jong-un, homie. We're on the door with my thumb on the button of a mutual nuclear destruction. But I just wanna be friends, okay? Shotgun, I shot pop with my hot two monkeys. Mora, garnish, orange, flawless, men on Morris. Chorus. This got so much yang. This why so much
punches. Got it? I got it, Tom. Jesus. Monkey.
I'm your Ross ass. What the hell you think?
Hello, America. You thought you knew me. You thought that you was screwing Barack Obama. I'm the guy with my finger on the trigger of the biggest bang since Arnold Schwarzenegger fucked his babysitter. But I just want to be friends, okay? Shotgun the shot top with my hotel monkeys. Chorus, Mora, garnish, orange, flawless, get on it, Morris. Chorus. This guy is so much yang. This guy is so much wang. This guy no more yin. So much wang. Toto, this guy so much yang. This guy so much wang. This guy no more